Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do you need to see?
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I'm the recovery addict. Welcome to this afternoon. Excited. Don't need that one right there. There we go. All right, we are back. We are back. We're back. We're back. They're not, but we're back first. I do have the emotional support cow, Moopak, to replace Cash Cow. Found Moo Cow. I did. He was hiding. He's a little dusty, and he's a bit worse for wear. He's missing his nose, eyes, and his udder is less pink than it used to be. I guess that's where the udder is right there. What happened to Cash Cow? Cash Cow had an utter catastrophe. It was awful. Do you hear that hammering? That's pleasant. That's my son's working upstairs on the bathroom. Let's see. We just barely got back to a court feed. Look at this. There we go. Boom. Court feed's back. Exciting. So maybe something will happen here this afternoon. Let's see. Oh, I'm on the wrong chat. There we go. Live chat. We have to do first in chat. First, who's first in chat? Oh, today it is SF in Texas. SF in Texas, congratulations. First in chat this afternoon, taking over from the previous owner. Why? I had the name like John Link. I said it before you said it. There we go, John. Daybell's getting spicy, says Todd. We'll have to poke our head in briefly and just listen.
Life is not in order to be able to do something like that.
Mr. Wixom, I'm going to suggest we take our mid-afternoon break at this time, just give them time.
Certainly.
So we'll go ahead and try to
cool off.
Come back on around quarter till, 10 till, if possible, to give the jurors enough time to take a break, and we'll come back on for remaining testimony.
Certainly, Your Honor. Thanks.
All right.
There we go. All right, we jumped in right when they were going to have a break. Why does a milking stool only have 3 legs? Because the cow has the udder. The cow has the udder one. That's hilarious. Art. SF in Texas, first in chat. We have to properly say congratulations. Thank you for being first in chat. Somebody had to do it. Today it was you, and because of that, we're going to punish you. That's right. We're going to punish you with internet ownership. Everything IP-related worldwide is now under your responsibility. You have to fix it. Just you and you alone. So good luck with that. Daybell is reading texts. Oh, the only way to make it worse is have him read his book. If you're interested in what's happening in the Chad Daybell trial, that's happening over here on the Top Mark Media channel, where it's live streaming. We've got some great mods over there watching over all the happenings as they go down. So enjoy over there. All right. Let's see. I think people are actually popping over from there over to here now that they're on break. So, which is great, which is good, because we're about to hopefully have some sort of action. Maybe something happened over lunch. Oh, as a matter of fact, look at this. Somebody's walking around the courtroom. Got a court clerk nosing around, taking a peek at those stapled notes. No, probably not. But it's always fun to just look around the clerk's desk, I guess. You know, you're on camera, ma'am. You steal anything, we're going to know about it. Oh, what is that? What did she get? Is it a money bag? and she's gone. We just watched one of the greatest heists in history. I guess we'll never know what it was. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. They've been teasing us all day. Is that our court watcher? I hope not. That would be terrible. That would be absolutely terrible. Okay, let's see. Just checking to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Following images were updated. Saratoga. Court appearance record. Okay, what else? Order setting court date. This is order confirming certain motions withdrawn. This is good, looks like good stuff. We'll have to take a peek at that. That's in the J Hatch case. I think a couple documents were filed. Ashley, I think at this point all of us were wrong on the deliberations poll. I mean, I guess technically if it comes in today, some of us might be right, but it's more interesting than a red button. It is. It is more interesting than the red button. But, oh my goodness, I do remember that red button. And what a red button it was. Remember when we said how dusty it was and then somebody ran out and cleaned it? It's like they were listening to us. I think they were, actually. That was hilarious. We're like, why would you show a dusty red button? 2 minutes later, it was shiny.
Well, they actually have a lot of pretty big ones.
Hot mic for a second. People are in court. People are in court. That's exciting. Good news. I said 3 hours. I was way wrong, says Jessica. Just a teensy bit. Something in the Maya case. What is it? They had a hearing today, Dog Lover, in the Maya case. They had a hearing, and basically it's just planning out. Oh, my Twitter's going nuts. Oh, you know why Twitter's going nuts? More fun stuff happening today. It's always on a Monday. In the Karen Reed case, they got like their 16 jurors, and now they're saying, and we want some more. There might be some problems with the first ones. What? You sat some jurors, and you're like, but we didn't like those ones, so we want some more? How do you even do that? So now they're going for 19. So, yeah, 19 jurors. Sarah Boone updates. Only that, no, it's been put off again. I think we have the date somewhere. Where is our timer at? That is a great question. Our timer is right here. That banging sound you hear is my kids trying to hammer the last of the cast iron plumbing in our house. And this actually goes up through our roof. Because right now we have a hole in the roof where the cast iron pipe came out. It's just a hole. And the pipe's jutting out. And so we're trying to take that whole piece out because we have to put PVC up for a vent. We're going to vent out that hole and put a new seal down and seal that all off. And it's going to be wonderful and beautiful, and everything will be peachy from then on. Timer's up. We are at 14 hours and 38 minutes. You can see it better when I click that button. What's the lowest lesser they added? Reckless, I think, was the lowest. You're not finished with? No, Virginia. It's just me. So just know, every time I'm here, I'm not working on the bathroom. And when I'm not here, I'm probably too tired to work on the bathroom. But no, they're going to knock that out. As soon as that last piece is out, which they have about 6 more feet of cast iron pipe, which weighs about 200 pounds. And they have to break it with a hammer into smaller chunks and haul those out. And once that is out, we can put PVC up the pipe, and then we're good to go. Your iPad is asking a question. It wants to know what we're doing. And Mary, I have to admit, I'm very upset you're not covering that trial. Brandy is covering it, and she's going to do such a good job. And Brandy, Emily D. Baker, Melanie Little. You can't ask for more talented people than that trio. I don't know what I have to offer that they aren't already providing. But let's see. Keep an eye on court here. We might get a little hot mic moment. That water looks warm by now. It's been sitting there all morning. So it's just warm water. Hope the jury doesn't split the baby. I agree. I don't like compromise verdicts. I really don't. Yes, Melanie Little is covering KR for sure. I think she's teaming up with Brandy, like splitting coverage. Is your friend still there that drove across the country to help? No, he's back home. I think. Well, he's going to be back home. I think he's just finishing up his East Coast. I think they left Maine over the weekend, so they're probably still driving across the country right now. Probably, I think they just left the Great Lakes. Melanie Little's had some awesome experts weigh in on the case on her channel. She'll be great. She is. MMA attorney is at her table. I keep leaning over so I can see further around the corner with the camera, and it's not working. But if defense is at the table, that is a good sign. Maybe they're hopeful for something. And you can use cussy words on their channels. You sure can. EDB is covering it. Are kids being homeschooled in the trade subject? These are my two adult kids, well, older kids. One is taking college level classes, and he's finished with his class for today. So he's about to head off to work, and he was going to help just for a minute. And the other is my kid who's graduated from and about to enroll in college this fall. More Maya documents on the docket. CLK staffy, the one I'm interested in is what dates they chose for the next appearances, so what they're going to handle and when. That's what I'm really interested in. I do see there's something on the table, like a purse or something's been set on the table. It's right behind my camera, so I have to lean over here to see it. Plumbing a bathroom is complicated. How long has it taken? Peter, the hardest part was redoing it, because we did it once and we had to redo both the shower and the toilet drain. And that was tricky.
Bring the jury.
The first part was just a lot of work, but the redoing and figuring out how to get all the pipes to line up and the angles and the spacing, the measurements, that was really a difficult one. Currently waiting on Thurston County District 4 to go live. Josh, they should be live in 24 minutes, I think, right? That's when they're going to start their jury selection. And we're going to be watching that while we keep an eye on this court to see if anything happens. But that's going to be our jury selection for our afternoon view. Karate Cat Mom, thank you for validating me, Recovery Addict. I tried to scroll over that side of the screen.
Back, taking it easy.
Yes, everyone's trying to peek around the corner. We need to turn the camera just a tiny bit.
Experience.
Let's see. I would not say EDB is like Long Crime. EDB is amazing with her insight. Yes, she does have the cursey words, but just amazing insight and experience, and a fun but more raucous environment. They're going to come back and say, "Was that long enough?" Hey, look at this! Look at this! I decided to resurrect my old Ryobi, and I gave it to my son. I said, "Hey, I think you might like to see how it works."
The zombie apocalypse may be upon us.
And I gave him the screwdriver and the right bit, and said, "Have fun. Open it up." Has it got cool stuff inside? Yes. Does he like it? It has a magnet. Wow. Oh, you got the magnets out of there? Awesome. Anyway, he's doing that fun job of taking things apart that he will never put back together. EDB was a prosecutor in California. Yeah, she's got some good experience. I really like her. I really do. Let's see. Do you think the DA calling the defense counsel by her first name was disrespectful? I do.
Roaches fighting out of Taiwan.
Probably when you look at what's proper, but this is a small town. This is a small. I mean, this is rural. This is rural Arizona, right? You probably don't have the same
send someone with more experience.
Vast numbers of lawyers going through courts and all the different courtrooms that you have in other big cities. So the odds that they know each other and have gone to lunch together and functions and meetups and public meet and greets and everything else and other trials are very whoa. Which part's broken?
All of it. I don't know yet.
Hey, Ryobi, this is what's inside your drills. You probably already know that. This is the trigger. You pull. Zoom, zoom. Battery there. See if you can...
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Maybe right here. What do you think? Take those off. You can get the front off. This motor on the back, I think, is what you want. Okay, good luck.
I'm getting the motor to trick you.
It smells like something's burning, huh? Like burning rubber. Yeah, that's not good. All right. What's that? The pipes are done? They're all the way up? They took it all the way up through the roof?
They said they're done.
Huh. Is it plugged in? That's the first thing I checked. I changed the battery for a new one, and it did not work. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so they will actually argue the sanction motions today. They were basically just setting the sanction motion hearing and determining if everyone still wanted to pursue sanctions. You're talking about J-Hatch. Everyone still wants to, well, I think they still want to go ahead with sanctions. So one side probably doesn't want to go forward with them. Oh, there was a telemarketer calling, and you knew I was going to take that. It's calling back. Here we go. Guys, be good. Best behavior. Hello? Hello? You guys, I tried. Okay. All right. Quick questions here. Oh, the May date is August 1st, 1:30. Which one's going to be sanctions? CLK, is that the sanction date? Five boys, one girl, Cheryl. Is the jury back? We're still waiting for the jury to come back. They've been deliberating for over 14 and a half hours. Right now, the court, as far as the prosecutor and the defense, are back on standby, waiting for possible questions or a verdict. Okay. We haven't. They're not done, and we haven't given up. What we're going to do is I'm going to take. Let me get to Thurston County. Let me get Thurston County up. Just one second. Thurston County Courts. Okay, we're trying to find. Let's see. Okay, love you. Bye. There we go. Thurston County is not live yet. But as soon as it goes live, we're going to take that feed, and we'll have that on the main channel. While we have the courtroom in Arizona on the little box in the corner, we'll move that out of the way so we can watch both. And as things happen, we'll pause Thurston to take any updates from Arizona, as we're still on verdict watch. The jury fled out the window like a drunk in a bar without a tab. Let's see. It's never good to let the smoke out of things. Let's see. Tahani Taylor says, being blind, your commentary really helps me. Tahani, that's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the support. I'm glad we can help a little bit. Age range of our kids. Oh, man. Youngest is 8, soon to be 9. The oldest is soon to be mid-20s. So a fair range there. I swear you've not had a successful scam call since 30 bins you crashed into, since the 30 bins. That was the last one where they pretty much hung up on me. would be 878 minutes on the old counter. We've upgraded a bit. The seconds are falling off. I didn't notice that. Why didn't you guys tell me? I will get that. Well, no, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to fix it. Right, how do you get this feed? Pool media access. Give me all the feeds. My overworked brain needs all the feeds. LOL. Haley's comment. We're working on that, especially for replay. The replay equipment that we're getting is amazing. Let me just say, it is amazing. And thank you. I say we're getting because we are getting it. It allows me to use my Mac that's down here, that's hidden, to record, and Blackmagic is updating my. I'm saying down here, and I'm pointing and showing you everything. Blackmagic is updating the firmware in this switcher right here, which will allow me to use the network port to store all my data, so it can record all 8 channels with audio separately, all at the same time over the network. So that will record down to my network storage, which is down there, and then the Mac will also access the same files and can read the files while they're being written to. So I can record through the day, and anytime I want to, I can go back and just rewind and see any camera and jump between cameras at the same time. And it'll make replays just a ton easier. A ton easier. You said my name right. People usually struggle. Tahini. I got it. Tahini. Where's the clock gone? I made it go away. It's back. Anyway, it's confusing. It's confusing, yes, but it does make it a ton easier. Pool media access. Let me explain how that works, dog lover. In court, we file for pool media access, meaning the court does not want everybody with a camera, everybody who wants to watch court, to bring their own camera, because the courtroom would be full. Especially popular cases. Think about Brian Koberger. If every channel that wanted to have a video of what happened in trial had to bring their own cameraman and set up in court, there would be no room for the judge or Brian Koberger. It would just be cameras. Think of like Olympics. It would look like that. So instead, they say, we're going to pool the media coverage. So all of you get together in a media pool, not like a swimming pool, but a media pool, and there will be one cameraman, and you share the feed. And so the feed is shared amongst all the people who have requested access, and then they can limit the cameras in the courtroom so it's not causing a distraction and noise and, all the cables and safety issues. And that way we get that. It takes a little paperwork on the front end, but it works out brilliantly. It's nice. You can get the feed. They wouldn't live stream. Yeah, it was frustrating. When the cameraman doesn't show up, then there's no feed because there's only one cameraman. It's like the microphones during a press conference. Do you need to pay for the camera feed? It depends on where you're getting it from, and it depends on the agreement. This is a fun little fact. I'll go into this a little bit. There's not much happening in court, so let me let's go here. There we go. And I'll turn on the little box in the corner. No, that's not it. We need box 2 to be camera 8. There we go. All right. So the way it works is, depending on who is running the camera, like sometimes Court TV shows up and they bring a truck, right? They bring a whole production truck and they have a crew. They've got an audio guy, they've got a video switcher, they've got a cameraman, or they have a camera controller. Sometimes it's just 2 people. Sometimes it's one. Sometimes they bring a producer. No joke. They bring a producer to court and as the liaison between the court and everything else. No, pool media access typically is not on YouTube. Sometimes it's run through straight through LiveView. Sometimes it's run through a channel will provide the access through a shared file. It's different. Every single time is different because the court says, all right, we're going to let you guys pool the coverage, but you have to work it out. And if there are any problems, If any one of you complain to me, you're all out. That's almost all the courts have this rule. They say if any one of these of you media outlets come and complain or can't work out a solution or can't work with each other or have a problem and try to get the court to intervene, all of you are kicked out. And so there's a huge incentive for the media companies to work together and play fairly and, and share and just provide a good product for everybody. And so they do for the most part. Sometimes on a big trial, it's a huge cost because a camera person every day, equipment and camera person is going to cost them a minimum of $1,000. Just between the equipment cost and paying somebody to be there, it's spendy. And sometimes on a large trial, they say, okay, all you media personnel, we've got to pool not just the effort, but we need to pool the cost, and we just share that. So everybody chip in $1,000 for this one, and that should cover everything. So if everyone chips in $1,000, we're going to cover it for, however many weeks it is. And sometimes they'll just say, hey, we've got it. No, go ahead, plug in, we're good. So it just depends. A trial for 1 week can be over $10K. Yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive. The equipment, probably the most expensive part is the live view. Mine's upstairs, but a live view is a device that takes many data, cell phone or cell data plans, and binds them together in one big pipe and lets you put a huge amount of video on the internet in a very stable way from a remote location. So that's where it's at. But so when they have pooled media, that's the situation, and everyone's a little bit different, but also a lot of them are all the same. You can pretty much expect that you're going to get your camera feed, either 1 to 4 camera feeds in 1080p resolution via SDI connection, and it will have embedded audio. And those 3 things you can sort of depend on wherever you go. That's like the industry standard. Sometimes you can get it in 4K. Sometimes you get multiple feeds. Sometimes you just get a single feed. What is usually done to handle bandwidth? You have to handle it on your own. The court almost always, the court says you're not allowed to use our internet. So you have to bring your own mobile internet, which is, my live view was $3,000 plus about $400 a month just for the data. So the equipment's $3,000 and the data is about $400 a month. And that lets me send one video feed anytime I want, as much as I want. Then some of the other channels, I bind 4 channels together for mine. Some of the others have 8 channels they pay together. So they probably pay $800 to $1,000 for their data. Plus they pay for the amount of data that's sent. So it just takes, it's just a lot of money. There's some other things we do as well. Like for instance, Megan Fox is going to be headed to Arizona to cover a trial that we're going to cover on the Top Mark Media channel. And I'm going to be sending her this piece of equipment or another one identical to it, where she can plug it in and record and have that video that we can then upload. And she'll upload to a shared file, and it will all work out great. And then she'll probably also live stream on her channel. But I'll have a clean copy that I can upload and she can live stream. But yeah, it can get very, very expensive. It's a little complicated. It usually takes a couple of weeks of setup and a lot of calls back and forth between different people. Candace, it's the Bachelor one, the Bachelor trial. Is it New Mexico or Arizona? I don't remember. I think it's New Mexico or Arizona, one of the two. But all right. That's all. That's probably more than you needed to hear or wanted to hear. But it does get very expensive. It just takes a lot of gear to make it happen. Just bought an RV. Might have to talk the wife into traveling around the country for court cases. Oh, that would be amazing, Pierce. Sounds like a fun thing. How do you get around the automated copyright strikes? You have copyright. You have rights to the footage. Having rights to the footage gets you around the copyright strikes. You have to have rights to the footage. Katie, I love this kind of talk. This is the background for how the station works. It's fun. Megan and Brian, I'm working with Brian as well, on her team. We're going to get this. So I can't even tell you about this trial, Lily Wayne, because it's so spicy. it's a paternity case. Let's put it that way. And there's going to be all sorts of details that might be even too spicy for the Top Mark Media channel, but it is what it is. So wish we could do the sheriff case. I know it. That would be amazing. Tahini, I'm blind too and agree. The community is great. Robin Frost, thank you very much. Generous super chat as well. I appreciate that. Celebrate your first super on a live stream. Thank you, Robin. I feel honored. Let's see. Fair use is right. Send any footage you want. Yes, but you have to play by the rules, and that gets really tricky. And you also have to be willing to defend yourself in court if they so choose to sue you. It's easier just to get rights, I think. YouTube is not designed for fair use. You always have to fight for it. Virginia, because there are kids talking, I can't even talk about some of the basic facts of the case and the allegations. It's basically one person is saying, hey, I'm pregnant with twins and they're yours. And the other person is saying, the consensual thing we did cannot result in a pregnancy. How about that? That's as spicy as we can go. Yeah, we're not going to go any further into that. I'm already getting in trouble. And the mods are deleting the words. Yeah. Amber's trying to delete as fast as we can. All right, let's move on. If you name the trial, it's probably going to get deleted. I'm just saying. I know you're adults, but we have kids watching the channel. So I'm not saying you can't handle it. I'm saying that it's probably a bit much for the school kids who are learning about court and trials as they watch this, because we do have some that do that. All right. Let's see. Nothing yet from Thurston. Josh, if you see something, let me know. We'll jump over there for jury selection. Amber's deleting as fast as people can type it. All right, guys, we all know what it was. We're done talking about that. Let's move on. Yeah, that's not the type of schooling we offer here. All right. With that said, approaching 15 hours to deliberation. Let's talk about juries, shall we? Let's talk about juries. Is there a satellite feed? Satellite is becoming, like true satellite, is becoming more and more rare. The cost of having a satellite transmission, although the signal can be really good and really low latency, it's so expensive, and the physics behind a true satellite feed, which we used to have. I mean, you used to say you're in the news window, you've got this window for your satellite, you'll have a connection, and basically the satellite that's handling the signal that's going around the Earth, it's going to be there for like 4 minutes, and that's your window. And so you put like 15 seconds on each side, and you open, you try to do your interview, and then, okay, we've got to go, because the satellite's going to be out of reach, and you'll lose your signal. It's expensive. It's really expensive to have actual satellites do your transmissions. And nowadays, the phone networks are becoming so robust that just bonding the networks together instead would make it it's cheaper and more, you have a longer feed because there's no time limit. It's just better. Starlink is great on download, not good on upload. Anyway, all right. Jim, I really wish. If I was a zillionaire, I would not be hammering my own plumbing pipes to get them out of my walls during the breaks on the live streams. What's the name of the other channel? The other channel is going to be on Top Mark Media. TOPMARK Media. TOPMARK Media. It's all one word, Top Mark, and the second word would be media. So I guess it's 2 words. But right now that channel is showing Chad Daybell, which is right here, and they're back.
What time of day was it?
So they're going through some spicy texts today. Okay. Nothing happening in court yet, and nothing happening up in in Washington, where we're going to be doing our court hopping today. I'm super excited about this little case. Ashley, it was amazing when we reached 4,000 on this channel. It blew my mind. It was crazy. And now Top Mark Media almost has 4,000, which is really cool. We hear it hammering and see you on screen. Don't try to tell us you're hammering. I was during the break. I was standing in my socks on a ladder, hammering pieces of pipe off. So, Virginia, how are you going to carry that trial? The whole chat will have to be deleted. You can't turn us loose with that kind of information. Virginia, we have some amazing mods over on the Top Mark Media channel, and we'll give them some good instructions. Ashley's one of them. She's doing a great job with this the Chad Daybell case, which has some similar crazy things in it. But I think everyone understands that if you want the access to the court, it's best not to try to ruin that by putting words in there that will cause problems for YouTube. And basically everyone just behaves, and sometimes it gets a little spicy, but they behave. Will you perform the Button Factory song for us? I don't know the Button Factory song. Oh, like these buttons, the Button Factory? Socks and nothing else. Lab man. I had a shirt and shorts on as well. No safety glasses, one glove. But really, honestly, this community is amazing. The fact that we deal with some pretty tough things that YouTube does normally find challenging as far as content goes, and the way you're able to handle it and discuss it and do so in a respectful way that YouTube says, hey, we can work with that. It's amazing. Megan wants to be a mod over on Top Mark. We'll see. We'll see. I'll have to watch her. I've got my eye on Megan already. Give me some time. We might make that happen. All right. Sorry, waiting for court from Thurston. There's four right there. Doing in custody there. Oh, what was Washington courts? What's this? State of Washington. I want to watch that later. I'll say subscribe. Okay, they haven't gone live yet. I'm just waiting for Thurston to go live, and we'll have something to watch while we talk as well. Are there people in court? Haley's comment, there are. We can't see very many. Let's see. Here we go. We've got a couple clerks and stuff up there in the corner. Looks like some tech support. We've got a bag on the defense table. Let me see if I disappear. Nothing's really on the prosecutor's table of any significance. But just 1 minute away from 15 hours of deliberation. Hey, OG Sean. Sean, thank you for the kind words. Just got your text. It is a handbag on the defense table. We believe that belongs to Mrs. Larkin. This might be the audio guy. Maybe is he testing mics? He is testing mics. Making sure everything's turned on or is working. Mr. Fixit, although I'm older, can I maybe be adopted? If you're older, then there's no benefit for the tax write-off, Mr. Fixit. What do you bring to this offer? What do you bring to the table here? How about we raid Top Mark, have a party over there, and then come pop back? I will say this: the case that's going on over there isn't for everybody. Okay, it's a tough one. Obviously, anytime children are involved, and especially in the way they were, and the deaths, and it's tough. It's a really tough case. So I realize that's not for everybody. That's why we're running on that one. But I can fix things. You can fix things. My phone's going nuts. Okay, if you guys see a Thurston County Court 4 come live, let me know. We'll put that up as soon as it happens. Otherwise, we'll stay right here. Renee, thank you so much, mods. This channel would not be the same without you. Love you all. Thank you. 6 months. Renee, you've got a yellow courthouse. That is really cool. Congratulations, and thank you for your support. Parents don't normally ask their potential adopted heirs what they bring to the table. Well, Steve, I've never adopted before, so I thought it was more of a transactional type thing. I didn't realize it was supposed to just be out of love and the goodness of my heart. I was thinking more it was like a business deal with a contract where we both benefit to some degree. They are trying hard, I think. Joy, I think they did. The jury throughout the trial had no reason to be upset with the judge. Zero at all. And I think they might have realized they might have offended him by how quickly they came back saying, "Judge, we're hung." And when he said, "You didn't try hard enough," they're like, "Oh man, we just got told off by our favorite judge." And they're like, "We're going to try harder." But I don't think that'll change the outcome at all. Pierce Williams, recovery addict, were you a radio or TV producer in the past, or is this just a hobby for you? Pierce, I actually went to school for radio and TV production, so I worked in radio and TV as a student. Then I also simultaneously worked in TV as a cameraman, and I've done freelance videography for all sorts of news and TV and civic government channels, and private corporations, corporate video. Weird. I've filmed car chases. Car races. I've been all sorts of photographers, so I've been involved in this a long time. But I've never been on an actual radio station that people listen to because it was fun and not an assignment. So school radio is the only place I've been. But I've been on TV a couple times. Radio is objectively more fun than TV. Okay. Hey, Thomas. How are you doing? Let's see. Lady Draconis says you're an amazing creator. Sorry for being in and out, but I come back when I can. Darn PhD. You and the community keeps me company. Keep it up. Lady Draconis, I appreciate all the hard work you do on LawTube, especially over there for Rob. A great mod over there. You're one of the good ones. We appreciate you floating back and forth across the different places and just being a familiar face when we drop in. Freelance. I did freelance for a bit. I'll pay my own way. You teach me, and I'll just work for myself for scale. Hey, I will teach you for free. I just can't adopt you. Because, that's one more person who's drinking the milk in the fridge, and 8 gallons already does not last a week. So I just don't know how we can do that. Okay. Check Thurston one more time. Didn't he say 2 o'clock? Is it 2 o'clock? Hey, Siri, what time is it in Thurston, Washington?
In Thurston County, Washington, it's 14:08.
He said 2 o'clock was going to be the start for jury selection, so they're a little bit behind. What's 8 gallons in normal measurement? Hey, Siri, convert 8 gallons to liters.
8 gallons is 30.28 liters.
Not very much. I realize that's more gas than some of you, use in a week, or petrol if you're filling up over in England. But my phone is hyperactive right now. Yeah, I know we should get our own cow. Everyone tells us that, but then I would have to milk the cow. Hard enough getting the kids to mow the lawn, although the cow could mow the lawn in theory. It's sort of what they do. Oh, they're live. They're live. They're live. Finally. Took forever to get there. Looks like the jury is about to be let in. And if you guys think, hey, why are we allowed to see the jury? Show me in the Constitution where it says the jury has to be anonymous. It's just not there. It's like a tradition, okay? It's a tradition in court that the jury is secret. Some places, as a matter of fact, some judges, when you sign up for media access, they will tell you that you can film the jury, just no extreme close-ups of the jury members. We got it, Josh. Thank you very much. Caught it right as you said that.
The sentence concluded, Mr. Thompson?
It has, Your Honor.
What was the sentence?
90 days with the HM allowed, must report or must be enrolled by May 6th, I think.
This is a speed trial. We should be through this one today.
Standard conditions otherwise.
Maybe it'll stretch in tomorrow. Depends if they have witness issues. Okay, so this trial, the gentleman on the far left is charged with harassment. It is a domestic situation. He's asked for a jury trial. His lawyer there is one that we've seen before, and last time we saw her in court, she won. She won her case against the town or the city. I forget who was suing. It was a First Amendment case. Juror names become public. They do. This is the weirdest courtroom. This courtroom was like, it looks like it was just set up in a hotel lobby somewhere. And they've just kept the setup. It works. This judge is not, spoiler alert, this judge is not even a judge. He's like a commissioner, and by agreement, the parties, here comes the jury. Should we rise? There we go. They're coming in, taking their seats. There's 1, there's 2. This lady's 3. The tall guy, I think you're going to be number 4. This lady 5 and 6. So 6 on the front row. The lady with the blue water bottle is going to be number 7, followed by the man with the blue paper. He's going to be number 8. Number 9 is the lady with the low hung purse. 7, 8, 9. 10 in white. 11 in blue. Didn't see 12 or 13. 14 on the back row is the last guy piling in there. 15 in white, 16 in plaid, 17 is the lady there sitting down, 18, 19, and 20. So we have 20 potential jurors here.
There's the jury. Good afternoon. I'm Brett Buckley. I'm the judge in the case you've been called today to hear. So first of all, let me sort of explain our surroundings here. And I'm squinting because the light is bright coming in behind you. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
You want us to close
not only that, but my eyes aren't what they used to be, so I'm going to squint anyway, whether you get the shades shut or not.
That helps us as well. That's wonderful.
This is what we call our COVID courtroom. We've been using this courtroom for a number of years now since the pandemic, and we wanted a bigger space so that we could spread people out, much like you are here. And obviously, this was not designed as a courtroom. It used to be, office space, and hence we have the posts or columns here in the middle of the room, and it just doesn't look like a normal courtroom. And that would be the answers to you scratching your head thinking, what is this place? So we continue to use this place because county's rented it, and we're going to use it. And frankly, I think in some sense, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of us have gotten used to having a little bit more space around us and not being all bunched together like we are in a normal courtroom, for instance. So we continue to operate here. The sound is not great. I'm a long way away from the jury. It's a lot more intimate in a courtroom, which is also part of the issue with a normal courtroom these days. So if you can't hear, please just raise your hand and get any of us to speak up and make sure you hear the things that are going on. Now, when we actually select our jury, the jurors will be seated in these chairs over here up front. So you're a lot closer to what's going on than where you are right now. Those are the chairs you're in now would be for public seating during the course of the trial. So with that sort of preamble describing our space here, let me tell you how we're going to proceed today. In a moment, I'm going to have you stand and I'll swear you in to try the case as jurors and to participate in our voir dire process. After I do that, then I will have some instructions for you. I will then ask some questions of you, and then the attorneys will have a chance to ask some questions. So if you would all please stand and raise your right hands. Do each of you solemnly swear to truly answer any questions asked of you by the judge or the attorneys concerning your qualifications to serve as jurors in this case? Yes. You may be seated.
I heard like 6 sure's, 1 okay, and 3 yeses. I guess they're all affirmative.
This is a criminal case brought by the state of Washington as plaintiff. The plaintiff is represented today by Mr. Corey Thompson. The defendant, Mr. Isaac Jerome Thomas, is represented today by Ms. Michelle Rowe. The defendant is charged with the crime of harassment, domestic violence. Specifically, this charge alleges that on the 20th of November in Thurston County, that Mr. Thomas made threats of harm to a family member. Keep in mind that a charge is only an accusation. The filing of a charge is not evidence that the charge is true. Your decisions as jurors must be made solely upon the evidence to these proceedings. To the charge of harassment, domestic violence, Mr. Thomas has entered a plea of not guilty. The plea of not guilty means that you, the jury, must decide whether or not the state has proved each element of the crime charged. The state has the burden of proving each element beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant has no burden of proving that a reasonable doubt exists. The defendant has no duty to call witnesses, to produce evidence, or to testify. The defendant is presumed to be innocent. The presumption of innocence continues throughout the entire trial. The presumption means that you must find the defendant not guilty unless you can conclude at the end of your deliberations that the evidence has established the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is one for which a reason exists. It may arise from the evidence or lack of evidence. A reasonable doubt is a doubt that would exist in the mind of a reasonable person after fully, fairly, and carefully considering all of the evidence or lack of evidence. If, after such consideration, you have an abiding belief in the truth of the charge, then you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now that we know the juror
before
numbers,
I
which ones
ask
do you
all of
think
you some
don't want to be here?
questions, I'm going to have you introduce yourselves to each other and to us. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you stand as I call your number. You'll tell us how long you've lived in the area, what you do for any employment you may have, what your primary interests are outside of any employment. And before you do that, I will point out the obvious. That is, you have a number attached to you someplace. You were randomly drawn and assigned that number. The reason we use those numbers is you have no obligation to give us your name. You can just use your juror number. If you want to give us your name, that's fine. That's your choice. We've had requests from jurors in trials past who wish to maintain some anonymity, so we respect that by assigning numbers. So we'll start with juror number 1. If you stand and.
Hi, my name is Lee Peterson. I'm retired from the lumber industry. Outside of not working anymore, I do like to golf and do outside things like hiking.
All right, thank you very much. Perfect. Juror number 2.
Michael. For a warehouse. Yeah, I don't really get out much. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. Juror number 3.
Hello, my name is Pamela. I work for DSHS, the Residential Care Services. I've lived in this area most of my life, and I recently moved, and I'm just busy organizing and getting things with it. I like it. Basically what I do.
All right, thank you very much. Juror number 4.
Want her off.
My name's James Anderson. Been in Thurston County for a few years now, and work in National Frozen Foods. I'm an assistant plant manager, and I just like to spend most of my time with my family in the outdoors.
All right, thank you. Juror number 5.
My name is Cheryl, and I've been in Thurston County for 4 years. I'm a retired accountant, and music and quilting things I like to do.
Thank you very much. Juror number 6.
My name is Nate. I've lived in Thurston County most of my life, consecutively for about 13 years now. I'm a store manager for an automotive recycling business.
And what do you do outside of work?
Oh, outside of work, hang out with friends, family, go boating, outdoors.
All right, thank you very much. Juror number 7. Thank you very much. Juror number 8.
My name is Zach. I am a cashier. I have lived here in this county about 2 years now. Outside of work, I enjoy reading.
All right, thank you very much. Juror number 9.
My name is Annalisa. I'm a cake decorator for Safeway. I've lived in Thurston County for 27 years, so my entire life. And outside of work, I raise and show cattle, and I also butcher chickens.
Thank you very much.
Chickens and cake.
Juror number 10.
Woohoo!
Hello, Aaron. I lived here for about 12 years. I'm a union representative, and outside of work, I like to keep my passport up to date so I can travel.
All right, thank you very much. Juror number 11.
My name is Art. I'm a retired railroad conductor, freight trains. Also retired Air Force. I've lived in Thurston County since '92. I like to ride dirt bikes, camp, hike.
Thank you very much. Juror number 12.
My name is Todd. I've been in Thurston County for 28 years. Project manager for a developer. I'm not stuck at work. I like to run, cycle, camping, trap shooting, anything I can to be outside.
Thank you very much. Juror number 13.
I'm Danica. I'm a warehouse lead out in Lacey. I've been here for 22 years, and then I haven't given that for warning.
Thank you. Juror number 14.
Hi there, my name's Josh. I'm a dishwasher. I've lived here probably about 12 years. And my free time when I actually have some, I like watching movies and I play video games.
All right, thank you very much. Juror number 15.
He's a gamer.
I'm Walt. I'm a retired maintenance supervisor, and I enjoy spending time with my grandchildren and listening to music.
Thank you. Juror number 16.
I'm another Nate. I've been in Thurston County for about 9 years. I'm an IT project manager, and in my spare time, I also enjoy listening, playing music, video games, reading.
Thank you. Juror number 17.
Hi, I'm Teresa, born and raised in Olympia. We've had a business here for about 30 years, and we love control.
All right. Thank you very much. Juror number 18.
My name is Jack. I lived in Thurston County most of my life. I'm certified public accountant, and I like to play tennis.
Thank you very much. Juror number 19.
I'm Sandra. I've been in Thurston County a good portion of my life. I'm an operations manager for a construction company, and in my free time, I like to video game with my sons.
All right. Thank you. And last but not least, juror number 20.
Hi, I'm Paul. I work for Employment Security Department. I was born in St. Pete 6 years ago. And for things to do, I'm a backpack hunter, and I got 5 children.
All right. Thank you.
We're not going to get to him. He's number 20. We'll have people pick.
All right, folks. I'm now going to ask all of you some questions. If you would answer yes to any of these questions, just raise your hand. And keep your hand raised until I call your number or until I ask you to call your number, since I really can't see the numbers from where I sit. And then once we have your numbers down, then once I have your numbers written down, then you can put your hand down. And then there may be some follow-up questions based on your response. These questions are not meant to embarrass you. If there's any answer you might give that you're reluctant to give in front of a group of people you've just met for the first time, let us know. We'll see if we can skip over the question, or if there's another way we can get that information without putting you on the spot.
I think felony means you can't serve on the jury, right?
First question. Do any of the jurors know either of the attorneys in this case, Mr. Thompson or Ms. Rowe?
I see no hands.
Do any of the jurors know the defendant in this case, Mr. Thomas?
Also no.
And that would be Isaac Jerome Thomas. The following witnesses are likely to testify in this case tomorrow. Mr. Travis Thomas, Ms. April Kerwin, and Deputy Benjamin Rhodes. Does any juror know any of the witnesses who have been named?
His dad's testifying against him, I think.
As I had indicated previously, the allegation in this case is a charge of harassment, domestic violence. Are there any jurors who themselves have ever been the victim of a domestic violence crime?
No hands.
Are there any jurors who themselves have petitioned a court for a domestic violence protection order?
Still no hands. Wow.
Are there any jurors who themselves have ever been arrested, charged, or convicted of a domestic violence related crime?
You're kidding me.
Are there any jurors who themselves have ever been the respondent on a domestic violence protection order? That is, the person ordered not to have contact with someone else. Are there any jurors who, by way of training, expertise, or experience, have any particular knowledge or background in the area of domestic violence?
There's white shirt.
Let's see, that'll be juror number 15, is that right?
10.
10. Well, I'm way off. Okay, juror number 10. Anyone else? Juror number 10, tell us a little bit about your domestic violence training or background.
I used to supervise people like mostly their felonies from prison getting out. So I have to attest if they actually violated their conditions or not. So that's kind of not really an expertise, but I've dealt with it quite a few times. So.
Okay. And was this in capacity as an employee of Department of Corrections?
Yeah, as a CGO, but that was 12 years ago.
Okay. Thank you. And you can stay seated, it's fine. Is there anything about that experience understanding what the nature of the charge in this case is that would keep you from being able to fairly and objectively weigh the testimony in this case?
That was my job, being fair and objective, so yeah, I can do that.
All right, thank you. As I'd indicated, we're going to have some civilian witnesses and a potential law enforcement witness. Are there any jurors who have ever been in law enforcement themselves? Okay, and that would be juror number 10 and juror number 12. Juror number 10 that we just talked about is with Department of Corrections. And juror number 12, how about you?
Olympia Police Department, Community Service Officer, Thurston County Sheriff, Jeep Patrol Unit, and the United States Border Patrol Federal Agent.
Nice. No
Any
secret
law
service?
enforcement agency you haven't been with? Okay, so thank you very much for answering. And I'll go back to number 10. We were speaking previously there about any domestic violence experience. Is there anything about the fact that you were employed with Department of Corrections working within the, I'm assuming, prison system, that would keep you from being able to fairly and objectively weigh the testimony of witnesses, both civilian and law enforcement?
Nothing was stopping me, no. I worked in community corrections.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, and juror number 12, you've been employed in numerous law enforcement agencies. Is there anything that would keep you from being able to fairly and objectively weigh the testimony of all witnesses in this case, both civilian and law enforcement? Okay, thank you.
Not very talkative group. And do you need people
Are
to
there
talk
any
to
jurors
kick
who
them out?
themselves have ever had a particularly negative experience with a law enforcement officer?
You're kidding me. I mean, that's good. That's awesome.
The process for this trial, and I suspect they've briefed you on it, hopefully they have, is that we select our jury today. We do opening statements today, but then the trial portion of it, the presentation of testimony, occurs tomorrow. And I expect this will be a one-day trial. Are there any jurors for whom that obligation, that is being here this afternoon and coming back tomorrow, is more than the normal inconvenience that would cause to any of us to be put in that situation?
Gamer boy, back corner dishwasher.
You. We have one back there. So juror number 14, hold on. Anyone else? Okay, juror number 14, tell me about that.
I only work a few days a week. It's the only amount of hours that I have access to.
Mhm.
And I would be missing 2 of my 4 days of work. And that's gonna kind of mess me up for the week, like that whole period, unfortunately.
Okay, and remind me again, where do you work?
I work at the Code. I'm a dishwasher.
Okay.
And I'm kind of the only one right now, so they're a little bit.
Nobody can do my job.
They're kind of hiking my hours a little bit, so I'm there most of the day, most days recently.
Okay, so are you missing work right now, or do you work in the evenings?
I'm missing work right now, yes.
Okay. And will you go back to work this afternoon?
Immediately, once I leave here, yes.
Okay.
Judge, let
Tell
him
them to pay you double time, right?
I wish.
Okay.
Let him go. The kid's a hard worker.
And you're scheduled to work tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Poor kid. He says that's really going to hurt his hours. He has limited hours.
Mr. Thompson. Any questions? And on your behalf, by the way, Mr. Holcomb agreed to the time limits I impose of 15 minutes.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
I had nothing to raise regarding what was discussed this morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
So any questions, Mr. Thompson? Your floor is yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As the judge indicated, expect this just to basically be this afternoon and tomorrow. And so juror number 14, you said work obligation. Anyone else have any other obligations, appointments that are hard to get, anything like that? It's very, okay, juror number 11.
It's probably trivial, but I've got a load of dirt I've been waiting for about a month to get in the city of Tacoma, Agro.
Not at all trivial, sir.
I've got a load of
planted
dirt
3 trees
coming.
in my yard yesterday. To keep
I want
my
to be.
dogs off
I
the
want to
fence.
be there when they
So
dump it.
I get it. And
That's great.
You know, you try to pack that into weather. Okay, so that's helpful. All right, and one of the questions I typically always ask is, anyone absolutely not want to be here for jury duty? It's okay to say, I don't want to be here. Okay, juror number 2. All right. Anyone else brave enough to raise their hand and admit it?
17.
It's okay.
It's not that I'm not willing to be here, but I do have a 91-year-old mother that I take care of. And she just had her birth.
She's taking care of her mom, 90-year-old mom.
Okay, so that's helpful too. Anything like that, sometimes it usually jogs someone else's memory, like, oh, I got to go to a play that I really don't want to, and I can't think of a better excuse to get out of going to it. Okay, fair enough. Anyone super excited to be here? Like, have waited for 30 years to get a jury summons and finally came.
Pick me.
Fair enough. I got one summons right when I turned 18, and happened to be deployed, so I couldn't go, and never gotten one since. And now as a prosecutor, no one wants me on the jury. So, all right. So you heard the court talk about the nature of the charge. You heard him talk about that it's domestic violence, it's harassment. I want you guys to think about why a person might be reluctant to come testify, or why a person might say slightly different versions of things. And so I want to give you an example. Does anyone have siblings here? Okay, and I know some people also raise your hands also if you have multiple kids. Okay, and I know I was juror number 5, I kind of looked at you because you mentioned 5. So has anyone with siblings either been tattled on or had to tattle on their sibling for something trivial?
All hands better go
about
up.
everyone.
Every hands.
Has anyone ever been reluctant to do so when it was maybe serious? Because they don't want, there's maybe a good relationship. Think about even when you're older, your teens, brother or sister, you're 16, 17, came back drunk from a party, and you kind of weighed, do I tattle or not? Anyone had to do something situational like that? Okay, about half of you guys. Juror number 3, I saw your hand first. So you don't have to tell me if you tattled or not in that case, but I do want to know, what was some of the thought process behind making that decision?
Self-protection.
Okay, self-protection. So you either told or didn't tell to kind of keep yourself out of trouble.
Just showing
right.
that.
And juror number 6, I think, did you raise your hand too?
I did, yeah.
Okay, what were some of the reasons, or that you kind of the thought process you went through?
I was raised in a pretty strict house, so wouldn't want my parents to go too hard on, like, my sister.
Okay.
I was to rat her out.
Okay, so kind of sibling love.
Yeah.
Okay. Juror number 7, I kind of saw the little half hand up. What were some of your thought process of why you did or didn't tell on your sibling? Okay, so if they were maybe snotty to you, you were more likely to tell on them at the time. Okay.
When you asked if we had siblings, I thought you meant now, but my sister died like 40 years ago, so I did, but.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Oh, no, that's fine, and I appreciate it. As we go through this, there's oftentimes things that like, oh yeah, I remember that my cousin's a cop, and I should have talked about the fact that my cousin's a cop. Things like that, please feel free to just pop your hand up and say, hey, I want to go back and talk about this. Because you think it, but if we don't see your hand, we don't know to talk to you. So thank you. Okay, so we've heard a couple different reasons. Do you think that anyone have a problem with kind of, as a juror, getting involved in someone else's family dynamics? Is anyone going to have a difficulty doing that? Like,
it's awkward. This
is between 2 family members, and the government shouldn't be involved in what happened between 2 family members. Anyone feel that way? Okay, great.
Great for him.
anyone think that two family members can have some sort of fight or disagreement and maybe it shouldn't be criminal? Okay, I see a lot of hands. Now, what if the definition meets the definition of criminal? Does anyone still feel like it shouldn't be criminal in that situation?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so like, let's say, so the judge at the end of the trial will give you instructions, jury instructions. They include definitions of what constitutes the offense. You know, like if it said, I'll give you an example. If the court gave you guys a jury instruction that said the sky is green, and it also gives you instruction that says my instructions are to be followed, would anyone have difficulty following that instruction? Meaning believing while you're deliberating that the sky is in fact green. Even though you might think it or know it to be a different color than green, the judge has told you that it is green. Anyone have difficulty following that if they disagree with it? Okay, jurors 6 and 18. Okay, and why is that?
It's, this guy's blue.
Okay, fair. I personally agree with you.
The sky is blue.
But the judge has told you that it is in fact green. For the law of this case is the sky is green. So you'd have a tough time following that even if the court told you that.
In that situation, yes.
Okay, I know it's kind of a ridiculous scenario, but what I'm trying to get here, or will get you all to think about, is whether or not you can follow the court's instructions, even if you maybe personally have a different opinion or feeling about it. So like I think the example I gave before was a disagreement or a fight between two family members. You don't think it should be a criminal charge, but the court says that here's the definition of what a crime is. And you're like, well, it meets the definition, but I don't think it should be a crime. So I'm going to vote not guilty. Is that, you understand what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense, yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind and that explanation, if it was sufficient, anyone think they would have trouble following the court's instructions, even if they disagree with them? Okay. A juror, I think it was number 3, you said you work for DSHS. Is that as part of SOLA?
Also.
Also, okay. This is, by the way, the fewest group of state employees I've ever had here in Thurston County jury. It's pretty unusual. Usually there's at least a third to half.
He only has 15 minutes to ask all his questions, and the jurors aren't talking much. So he doesn't have much to base his dismissals on.
Does anyone know the difference between direct evidence and circumstantial evidence? Juror number 10.
No true crime addicts.
What can you kind of describe it in your own terms?
Circumstantial is there's no proof of it. It's just like it could be something that happened, but there's not really evidence saying it did happen.
Okay, so
here comes
that's
the
a fair
rainstorm.
comparison. So I'm going to move this here. Okay, so you guys can see my pen, right? Now I'm going to step out here for a second. What happened? Anyone?
You dropped it.
Drop the pen. Hit the floor. Okay. How do you know it hit the floor?
The sound, and I could see it.
Sound, you can see it, and I'm presumably same answer. Okay. Again, same scenario. What happened? I know it bounced that way. Try to pretend it didn't bounce left. What happened?
I can still hear it, but I mean, I get what you're saying with circumstantial is like implication that something may have happened.
Okay, yeah. So you saw me let go of the pen and you heard it, but you didn't see it. Okay. And so circumstantial evidence, direct evidence is basically circumstantial evidence and direct evidence being the same. One is not better than the other. One you can perceive, which is direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence is you form a conclusion based off surrounding evidence. You saw me drop the pin, you heard it hit. You also know how gravity works, right? So that's where you can bring in your common sense and your life experiences, which totally blows my blue sky, green sky scenario out of the water. Okay, so you might hear direct and circumstantial evidence. Does anyone think that the evidence of me dropping the pen and you only hearing it is insufficient evidence? Like you just absolutely can't buy that type of evidence? Okay. I might have to have you guys raise your hands just so I can get you engaged again here. It's okay. It's all right.
I've never seen jurors.
One of the
that
other
are this
questions I'd like
reluctant
to ask in all of this is, and it doesn't happen as often here because there's usually a ton of state employees, but does anyone not like the government to the point that they will not believe anything law enforcement has to say or listen to anything I have to say? Example I usually say is like, this doesn't mean like hate going to the DOL to get a new license or paying your taxes, but like actually despises the government, not including politics. Anyone?
These,
all right.
These are
now,
model citizens.
Last question I'm going to ask.
It's incredible.
Is there anything anyone can think of that they want to say that they're like, you know what, if he just asked me about this, I know I would not end up on this jury? Thank you. I appreciate the chuckle. If I had asked you a question, like you're thinking like, if you just asked me about, you know,
this is his desperation
this one
question.
thing, and my answer means I wouldn't have to sit on this jury. What, wish you would ask me this question. Can anyone think of a question like that? Juror number 7.
Not against you, but against someone who asked you. And I had contact where when I was deployed in the military against someone who had done something.
Okay, thank you for that. That's perfect. And this
said
is
she
why I
knows
asked
the
that question,
judge,
because it
or she
actually
says I'm
reminded
a
me that I
furry
had
on the
written down
weekends. One of the two.
harassment versus domestic violence.
Oh, I
So
missed it.
the court had asked specifically about domestic violence protection orders or domestic violence crimes. Has anyone had any harassment cases or crimes or experience with that? Someone had threatened them, anything like that?
I haven't actually like gone to report things, but I have had a stalker.
Okay.
For a very long time. Like,
Great.
it's active.
Okay, thank you. And that's just perfect. Anyone, any situations like that? Juror
She
7?
said, I have an
imagine
active stalker. Whoa.
Okay, and so you had an active protection order. You were the petitioner. Okay.
Should have raised
Anyone
your hand
else
earlier.
had any harassment orders that they've been the respondent for, the petitioner of, and you don't have to tell me which. All right, thank you, Juror 7 and Juror 9. Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. And Juror 7, Juror 9, I'm going to conclude that line of testimony by asking each of you. Juror 7, is there anything about your experience as a protected party under a harassment order that would keep you from being able to fairly and objectively weigh the testimony in this case?
Pause, I should say yes. Because they, you know, could bring up all the things we did 2 years ago, right? And things that we just don't think about.
She's off. She says yes.
Okay, well, let me rephrase it a little bit. If selected for this jury, your obligation would be, to the best of your ability, to put aside your personal experiences as somebody who sought a protection order and decide this case as to Mr. Thomas based solely on the evidence and the facts produced in this case. Do you think you could do that?
She said I could try.
So I hear some hesitation. Okay, that's fair. That's why we ask these questions.
You will be dismissed.
Juror number 9, is there anything about your experience as somebody stalking you, understanding what the charge is, that would keep you from being able to fairly and objectively weigh the testimony in this case? Okay, thank you.
No.
All right, Ms. Rowe.
Thank you, Your Honor.
See if Miss Rowe can get him to talk.
I feel more comfortable sitting here asking questions, or I'm hoping that it won't.
Can we move that chair so I can see your face?
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The juror's like, I want to see you. There we go.
I'd like to start out by asking the entirety of you. How many of you believe that at this very moment in time, my client seated here to my left is innocent? Can you raise your hand high?
Okay, everyone with
I
your
see a
hands
few
down.
hands that have not been raised, so I'm going to ask you some questions. I don't think you raised your hands, juror number one.
I didn't,
Why didn't you raise your hand to that?
well, my wife actually is a public health nurse that deals with children with special needs. She's been doing it for 45 years. A lot of those special needs have arisen because of domestic violence in the family. I can't put it on specific things because, you know, there's laws.
What a
that says
great question.
I don't hear that. I just hear some of the cases she worked on. And I gotta tell you, I can't be impartial to this at all. I mean, it usually arises from the male, you know, having domestic violence against the female. It's always a superior thing. And I gotta be quite honest with you, the female usually gets a short end of the stick.
Wow.
I appreciate you giving me your response on that. That really
Yeah, that was almost too much. You might have
is
poisoned
very
the jury.
helpful.
You might have
How
poisoned the
about
jury there.
you, juror number 9? I think I didn't see you raise your hand.
No, I kind of feel like if you are in this position, you're probably not innocent. I know that there are situations where people are wrongfully accused, but in my experiences with people that have been in these circumstances, most of the time I've seen the big like guilty.
So with that belief, do you think it would be hard for you to be able to give an impartial position if you were to preside over a DV case?
No, I don't.
How about you, juror number 11?
Well, the reason I didn't raise my hand was I realized that everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but it wouldn't be a trial if there wasn't some kind of situation that happened. So I would have to hear both sides to weigh whether I believe he was innocent or guilty. It's not that I don't think he is innocent or guilty. I just don't know.
So are you of the frame of mind where you believe the way our judicial system works, a person up here basically has to prove his innocence?
My wife likes to watch all these things on TV and all that. That's her big deal. I'm not really into it, but I think that everybody, I'm not thinking that he's guilty or innocent. I'm just, I don't know. I really don't.
I could tell you, sir, your
How
wife at home
about
is saying,
you,
no, don't say
juror
that.
number 2? What's your position on that?
Innocent.
And you, juror number 8? You may have, I'm so sorry if what is your position on?
He says, I raised my
on the
hand. Why are
question
you
that I
picking on me?
asked? And that was how many believe that at this moment in time, my client is innocent? Let me ask another question. I did notice that, if I could, how many of you, by show of hands, are friends with law enforcement? Quite a few hands have been raised. Juror number 4, would that color your ability to make an impartial decision based on the evidence alone?
Okay.
If I could have you kind of keep your hands up too, because I'm already. How about you, juror number 7? Will you, is the law enforcement person a personal friend of yours? And do you think that would affect your ability to be impartial? With those of you who have raised your hands indicating that you have friends or relatives that are law enforcement, how many of you could take the position that law enforcement is always right? I'm not seeing the number of hands that I did see raised when it came down to how many of you know law enforcement. Juror number 10. Do you believe that law enforcement is always right?
No.
Can you expound on that a little bit? What types of things or what types of situations do you think law enforcement may get it wrong or aren't always
So the
right?
bailiff briefly.
There's only one, there's multiple times that, I never did anything wrong, but no, no, it just depends on circumstances and where you are. I mean, I was personally, I'm not involved with a case, but in Spokane where I grew up, there was something that was absolutely wrong and everybody was on that was a city police officer. A lot of people, it was divided. People were on his side, people were against it, even on the same force. I didn't believe what he did was right.
So how many of you think that law enforcement, maybe in the course of their investigation, may write down statements that aren't correct?
Jury has a note in the Kelly trial. That's what we
Is
saw.
juror number 6 the only one who believes that that could be a potential circumstance where maybe law enforcement is wrong, doesn't get it right? And I want to kind of come back to the sibling situation that the state initially asked about. How many of you believe that comments and statements between siblings may not have the same understanding as comments and statements made between persons who are not related?
One over there. Juror number 6.
Could you repeat that, please?
How many of you could see circumstances where statements between relatives are not received or understood in the same manner as statements between strangers?
Whoa, now the hands come up. The whole back row.
Juror number 20, can you give us a situation where you think that might play out?
I know it might, I've said stuff to my sister, but I know I would never say.
And when you said those statements to your sister, did you conclude that she believed the statements that came out of your mouth? Or do you believe there are situations where siblings may not receive statements from another sibling in the same manner as if you had said that to a stranger?
I think it depends on the circumstances. There's times where they can tell that I was angry, and there's times when they could tell I wasn't. But it was coming out, not necessarily what I meant.
So would you conclude that it kind of depends on the circumstance in that situation? How about you, juror number 6? Could you expound on that a little bit?
I mean, very similar to what the guy behind me said, is I've said some offhanded stuff to my siblings, whether it's out of anger or just joking around, that usually my siblings would interpret as I'm joking around, whereas if it was a stranger or someone I'm less familiar with, I would take it that way. But at the same time, they don't always perceive it the way I've said it too. So I guess my siblings haven't always received it the same way I meant to put it.
And if I could ask you, juror number 9.
They rarely ask questions on that back row.
Can you give an example or
usually see
situation
the
where
jury
maybe this type of
out of the first 2 rows.
exchange between siblings has occurred? Do you have siblings?
I do, I have a sister. Yeah.
Let me rephrase it this way, it might be a little easier. Because I've seen so many people raise their hands who have siblings, how many of you can say there are things that you've said to your siblings, or maybe that your siblings have said to you that you knew that each other did not mean?
Wow, that's a good question.
And what type of, in those type of situations, do you think that it would be easy to come to a conclusion on either side as to whether the person meant it or didn't mean it?
Ms. Rowe, we're going to have to bail on your jury selection that's happening live up in Thurston here in just a moment. We're going to go into Arizona.
Are sharper than others, so it kind of just depends on what it was that was said.
Ms. Rowe, you have 1 minute left in the time.
Ms. Rowe, can you wrap it up here? 1 minute.
Is there anyone else who believes that they could not be impartial now that it's understood that this is a case involving domestic violence? I appreciate your position, juror number 1. We do appreciate you being honest about that. Yeah, so I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Okay, we're going to pause them right now. They're going live, but we're going to jump back over to court. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's turn off the little box in the box. We don't need that right now. So we have audio set to come on here in moments. Court reporter is there. Looks like the clerks are there. We have the translators. We know defense is already on scene. We're 15 hours, 58 minutes into deliberations. There's our boiliff setting some stuff out for the judge. Everybody is ready to go. It's going to be probably just a couple minutes before we have an answer. What do you think, hung or a result? I don't think we have a result. We have a note. And I believe that's very different than saying we have a verdict. I think it's just a note. So I'm thinking very high probability that it is hung. Look at how long they've debated. Basically all today. They've nearly got to 16 hours. They will be at 16 hours before, which is basically 2 days of deliberation. So 1 day for every 2 weeks of trial. Oh, we got some audio. State just showed up. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let me do a quick test here. You may bring the jury. There we go. We need stereo. I'm going to crank up the audio here for a minute. If you have a blurry screen, refresh. We still haven't heard the response from the judge as to whether the state gets those video recordings they were asking for yesterday. All we've heard from Laura is that we have a note from the jury that came in at 55, so about 8 minutes ago. 8 minutes ago, they were alerted that right when we saw the boy bailiff, Jose, walk across to the defense table. I think he may have, the teams may have seen the note already. It seems like the judge has the practice of letting them know what is in the note before it's read in open court. The state does look a little frustrated.
Is that correct?
That was much louder.
Did you check my closet? Oh, is it maybe? Cool color.
Somebody's playing with binder clips.
Thank you.
Cameraman coming in. Most likely we're going to zoom in on the seal here in just a minute. Got the audio cranked just so we can hear some of the background stuff that's going on in court. We're looking for the robe. If the robe is on, there's a good chance the jury will be coming out and talking to the judge, or the judge will be addressing the jury directly. If the robe is off, it's probably an indication that it's just a question and something will be sent back to the jury. Should we do a quick poll about the robe? Polls up. I'm going to end the poll as soon as the judge walks out because I'm not going to let you cheat. There's the boy bailiff. Arizona prohibits the use of the Allen charge. It's literally in their pattern jury instructions, number 53. They've talked about it already in court. You got to vote quickly on this poll. Yes or no, will the judge be wearing his robe? I think the robe means the jury will be looking all eyes at him. Sounds like the courtroom itself is filling up right now. And we're into the poll. Judge has the robe. Judge has the robe.
Thank you. Please be seated.
He also has a note.
The records show the presence of Ms. Hunley for the state, counsel for the defendant, and the defendant. The jury is absent. The jury began deliberations this morning, began at 8:30 in the morning. Took a break for lunch at 2:50 p.m. The jury forwarded the following note to the bailiff, who forwarded it to me, and copies have been provided to all counsel. Judge Fink, The jury is still at an impasse, and we don't feel further deliberations will
I think that's net, Your Honor.
net. We do not feel that further deliberations will net a unanimous decision.
That was key.
Are there additional instructions we can follow? Sign juror number 1, who's a foreperson. I'll give mark the time, and I'll give the note to the clerk with today's date, 4/22/24. All right. Let me hear from the state, and then I'll hear from the defense. Ms. Huntley.
Your Honor, the state requests that we provide the impasse instruction provided in the Raji's.
The standard from criminal 53?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the Allen charge.
We're in agreement with that, Your Honor. We think it's time for that instruction.
All right, and before we get there, I waited a few minutes before I came in to make sure you had time to discuss the situation with your client. But if you need more time, I'm happy to give it to you. I want to make sure you've had a time to consult with Mr. Kelly.
I think we're okay, Your Honor.
All right, so everyone is in agreement the court should give standard criminal 53 impasse instruction? Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right, very well. Then let's bring in the jurors.
Okay. The judge is going to read this impasse instruction. It will say, "This is offered to help you, not to force you to reach a verdict. As jurors, you have a duty to discuss this case." Refresh my page. Just lost. Sorry. YouTube just kicked me out again. That is crazy. Just kicked me out again. And it's making noise. There we go. So I'm not going to have time to read everything, but that's how it's going to start for the jurors as they come in. This is the Allen charge. This is basically the third time they're told to go back and try harder. You might hear some verbal exasperation from the jurors. This. I just reset the clock because I hit the wrong button. Because they put that button closer to the other button. So 16 hours of deliberation. And then we're going to time how much after the Allen charge. I have one job. I was supposed to push stop, and instead I pushed reset. If you can pause for 16 hours, I can get it back up to 16 for you. But
Thank you. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of all the jurors, counsel, and defendant. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I received a note from juror number 1, who is the spokesperson, I assume the foreperson for the jury, that the jury is at an impasse. And the request was, are there any other instructions that we can follow? I do have an instruction. It's a formal instruction. I'm going to read it to you now, so please pay close attention. This is offered to help you, not to force you reach a verdict. As jurors, you have a duty to discuss the case with one another and to deliberate in an effort to reach a just verdict. Each of you must decide the case for yourself, but only after you consider the evidence impartially with your fellow jurors. During your deliberations, you should not hesitate to re-examine your own views and change your opinion if you become convinced that it is wrong. However, you should not change your belief concerning the weight or effect of the evidence solely because of the opinions of your fellow jurors or for the mere purpose of returning a verdict. You may wish to identify areas of agreement and disagreement and then discuss the law and the evidence as they relate to the areas of disagreement. If you still disagree, you may wish to tell the attorneys and me which issues, questions, law, or facts you would like us to assist you with. If you decide to follow these steps, please write down the issues where further assistance might help bring about a verdict and give the note to the bailiff. The attorneys and I will then discuss your note and will try to help you. I do not wish or intend to force a verdict. We are merely trying to be responsive to your apparent need for help. If it is possible that you could reach a verdict as a result of this procedure, you should consider doing so. Please take a few minutes and discuss this instruction among yourselves. Then advise me in writing of whether we can attempt to assist you in the manner indicated above, or whether you do not believe that such assistance and additional deliberation would assist you in reaching a verdict. That's my additional instruction to you. If any of you wish me to read it again, it's very important. If you need to hear it again, I'm happy to do it. All right, seeing none. Did you understand the instruction? Very well. I'm excusing you once more to deliberate further and consider this additional instruction that I've given you. We'll stand in recess until we hear from the jurors.
This is the Allen charge. That was it. That's the dynamite charge. The judge, imagine the judge setting off a little small explosive among the jury, saying, I'm trying to break the log jam. We're trying to shake this up, give you a little encouragement verbally, let you know how serious it is, let you know that you have a job to do here, and the job is to reach a unanimous verdict. But at the same time, if you have a strongly held belief, don't change it just because everyone wants you to. Hold on to that, but be willing to examine your own beliefs and be willing to change them if you are convinced that they are wrong. Will it work? Will it work? I don't think so. Mrs. R.A., are you back?
I have to go pick up a kid from work in just like 1 second. But I just wanted to hop in here and say that is a problem. That is coercive. That's why they have the Allen charge. So
that is the Allen charge.
I know, but he should have done that the first time. Yeah. These guys do not know that there's any other way out of this jail that they're in right now. They feel trapped. They've literally got a guard keeping them in their room. They can't get out of this situation doing the only thing that they know how to do. So he is coercing them. He is forcing something. I don't know which way it's going to break, but this is not cool.
It has wording in there. I do not wish to intend to force a verdict. We're merely trying to be responsive to your apparent need for help. If it's possible, you could reach a verdict as a result of this procedure. You could consider doing so. It's got some options in there for them, some space for them to make a decision.
The verbiage is, but the reality is that he's told them, get back in there and work on it. Did you say 3 times?
This is the third.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what those words are. The actions are over and over again. You're not getting out of here until you come up with an agreement. And it's really taking away the ability to have a hung jury from them.
Just reading further on in the revised Arizona jury instructions, criminal 6th from 2022, I think it was number 53 is the instruction regarding the Allen or the dynamite charge. Let's see. Where a jury has not reached a unanimous decision and has notified the court, the trial judge should ask the jury whether it is at an impasse and needs assistance from the court. If the jurors indicate their decision is final, the impasse instruction is not appropriate.
So he's already messed up.
And that's where I think he probably stepped over the line, because the jury in their note said, we do not feel that further deliberation would net a change, would net a unanimous decision.
But this judge has already shown that he's not, he's very much above the law. He is the law.
But he hasn't. I mean, I guess what still keeps him okay in that is because previously he did not express to the jury that if they needed assistance, they could get it from the court. So this is the first time they've heard that phrase in any of their instructions.
What assistance is he offering?
That's the funny thing, because he's not really volunteering anything. He's volunteering the possibility of assistance, where both the counsel would have to agree on whatever goes to the jury to help him out.
Well, and this is a problem because they said, we do need assistance, and this is what he told them. Go back to work. That is the assistance that he is offering, is he's going to just keep sending them in there. I got to go to get a kid. All right, see you guys.
All right, see you. I got both mics. Woohoo, you get me in stereo. It's like twice the fun. I'm just kidding. I'll use this one. All right, so the Allen charge has been exploded, or has been set off amongst the jury. I think they're going to take about as long as it takes to do a quick poll, as at this point their battle lines have been firmly drawn, anchors have been placed deep in the sand, and heels set in, and there's no way these jurors are changing. There's no way. I think this is. I would say there's less than a 1% chance that this is successful in bringing about a unanimous verdict. What is the assistance? Well, what they could offer is clarification. Possibly greater clarification than what they have before, but they have to be very careful how they do that. Very, very careful. Sorry, you're not fun enough for 2, says Virginia Little. I think they'll be right back, says Kenny. Let's do a quick poll. We started the timer when they left. So let's do another poll on. I didn't see what the poll was on the robe. I just shut it off. How long until the jury is back? We're going to do first is less than 10 minutes because we're already 4 minutes in. 10 to 30. To 30, 30 to an hour, because I don't think it'll take longer to an hour. And the last option is okay. All right, the poll is up. How long until the jury will be back? The question, answer number 1 is less than 10 minutes. 2 is 10 to 30 minutes. 3 is 30 to 60 minutes. And 4 is they have started a hunger strike, protesting their unlawful captivity. So Robe was ahead when I voted, says Kenny. I didn't even see what it was. I think they'll be gone about as long as it takes for them to literally write the note and take a quick vote. Can you overlay a 16th hour graphic to the left of the timer? I could. Oh, man. By the time I get it done, the jury will be back. I'm that slow in Canva. Let me just tell you. Canva. Let's see. Deliberation timer. Oh, I don't even have this one. It's the replay button. Need to find the deliberation timer. It's a spice meter. A shaggy defense. That was good. I like that one. Nobody's leaving. Like the court reporter, well, everyone else is left, but the court reporter's there. The state is just hanging out. Drag that in. There we go. I can't do anything else other than work on this, guys. So you asked for it. Deliberation time. Okay, move backwards and backward. Okay, guys, talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm trying to fix this. All right. If they had given the Allen charge the first time the jury asked for it, they'd be home by now eating dinner. Eating dinner for sure. Just got back on. Did they come back with any questions? Janice, they came back with a note that basically said, we're hung. We can't figure this one out, Judge. It's beyond us. Let's see. Black there. here. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Here we go. Share. This is so bad. It's not going to look good at all. Download transparent background, compress. There we go. Okay, that's how long it took me to make. You guys are not going to be impressed. You're not going to be impressed with this. I can't do any invites here. I'm not streaming through StreamYard, so I can't do this. We're going to go ahead and close the poll because we're about to hit the timer, the 10-minute timer. So we're going to close that out and say that, let's see, the votes were, where'd it go? There we go. Less than 10 minutes. 14% of you are wrong because we just passed 10 minutes. 10 to 30 minutes, 50%. 30 to 60 minutes, 23%. And starting a hunger strike, another 12% there. So I think the court is anticipating another question. Have you seen any movement? Does like the bailiff specifically come through at all? Let me get the note up here. Deliberation time. Let's put this one up right here. That was my best effort. Do you guys see that? It's got 16 hours over there. It's not even in white. Mr. Fix-It. Imagine that wasn't the most impressive thing I've ever done. Jury question counter. That's the wrong one. Deliberation time. We'll put it back there. So we know we have 16 hours. This is since the Allen charge. We have 11, almost coming up on 12 minutes. Steve, you got to help me out, man. You got to help me out with this. A for effort. Leo, thank you for your kind words. State has not touched their water allotment. Well, they didn't get a win. Does the court pay for lunch? Roger, Addy, I say yes because the jury worked through lunch, so it means it had to have been brought to them. They did not give a poll. We'd only know that if the jury speaks out afterwards. Okay. Hey, just got a jury 11. Looked like she'd been crying. Visible frustration this time on many. I don't expect they'll be back there long. Going back in courtroom now to wait, says Laura. Jury 11 had looked like she'd been crying. She was the not guilty. She was the not guilty. Wow. Let's see. Lenova says this is close to a win for the state, in my opinion. Hopefully, if they retry it, they can correct the weak parts of their arguments. Courts do provide lunch here. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say there's a taco truck across the street. Help yourself. Okay, D, what happened was the judge came in and said, we have a note. The note the jury brought said, we are at an impasse. We do not believe that further deliberation will change that. We're stuck. We're hung, Judge. We're hung. The judge then responded by reading the Allen charge. Or the impasse charge, as they call it in the jury instructions in Arizona. But jury 11 looked like she'd been crying. That is very, very telling. She might be the holdout. She might be the one holdout. Prosecutor is very mad. The prosecutor has been mad with how the judge has come down on rulings pretty much since he walked out. That's been since the judge walked out. 30 more seconds, please. On what? Oh. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. 30 more seconds. Give me just a second. We're going to try to get that fixed. If you guys, YouTube's has problems when I engage the slow mode, which we have to do so we can have time to read your messages. It's not to hurt anybody. It causes problems. If this kicks you out, please just pop right back in. It's a YouTube issue. We know it's happening, but it makes me sad. So we've turned it down just a little bit. This is for our mods so they can read the notes and keep everything happy in here. What is deliberation time counting from since last question? This is counting since the Allen charge. We had almost exactly 16 hours prior to the Allen charge. I thought RA said juror 11 was guilty, not guilty. No, 11 was the one who was nodding and seemed to be very much in support of Mrs. Kelly during her testimony on the stand. I feel that if anyone changes their vote now, they have been bullied into it. Paul, I think you would not be wrong there. I see you. The only problem is the deliberation time is actually an image. I don't have the original source file on that because I've changed it so many times since then. And so I have to either recreate the spacing and the color and the opacity and the layers or just leave it. What's the Allen charge mean? Yeah, under your scars. One more time for the clarification on the Allen charge. When a jury is not able to reach a unanimous conclusion, which they need to do in this case, whether verdict is guilty or not guilty, all jurors have to be on the same page. Here we have 8 deliberating jurors, and one or more of them is not able to join with the other jurors in whatever decision they have. And because of that, they've been trying to talk it over. They've been looking at evidence. They've been working through this. They are still at what's called an impasse, meaning we're blocking each other. No one can win. It's a stalemate, right? It's not a checkmate. It's a stalemate. And so the judge reads the standard criminal instruction 53 when there's an impasse. And this is the third time the jury's sort of been instructed regarding being stuck like this. The first time they just sent a note saying, here are our numbers where we're voting. Judge says, I didn't look at that. Don't tell me that. Go back and work it out. The second time they said, we're hung. And he said, maybe you need more time. You haven't put enough time into this. You need to go back and deliberate more. They did. They deliberated for, 7 more hours, right? And then they came back and said, Judge, we are at an impasse. We don't feel that any further deliberation is going to fix that. We're stuck here. And so he read them this note. He said, this is offered to help you, not to force you to reach a verdict. As jurors, you have a duty to discuss the case with one another and to be deliberate in an effort to reach a just verdict. Each of you must decide the case for yourself, but only after you consider the evidence impartially with your fellow jurors. During your deliberations, you should not hesitate to re-examine your own views and change your opinions if you become convinced that it is wrong. However, you should not change your belief concerning the weight or effect of the evidence solely because of the opinion of your fellow jurors or for the mere purpose of returning a verdict. You may wish to identify areas of agreement and disagreement and then discuss the law and the evidence as they relate to the areas of disagreement. If you still disagree, you may wish to tell the attorneys and me which issues, questions, law, or facts you would like us to assist you with. If you decide to follow these steps, please write down the issues where further assistance might help bring about a verdict and give the note to the bailiff. The attorneys and I will then discuss your note and try to help you. I do not wish or intend to force a verdict. We are merely trying to be responsive to your apparent need for help. If it is possible that you could reach a verdict as a result of this procedure, you should consider doing so. Please take a few minutes and discuss this instruction among yourselves. Then advise me in writing of whether we can attempt to assist you in the manner indicated above, or whether you do not believe such assistance and additional deliberation would assist you in reaching a verdict. So that's what he read them. That is called an Allen charge or a dynamite charge. When the jury is stuck in a log jam, you set off the dynamite to break up the jam, shake things up a little bit, give them more encouragement, say, go back and try harder, which they've done a couple times now. They might come back and say, look, it's not going to happen. We are set in our ways, which is most likely at this point. Michael MCF, welcome to the gallery, brand new member. Thank you very much. Under Your Scars also with the Green Courthouse. Good to have you here. Welcome. Somebody's calling in. Let's see who it is. Hello. And they hung up. Just let's try it again.
Call from Angela.
Hello, Angela. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Actually, I should sleep, but I really can't wait for this verdict to come in.
Yes. What's on your mind?
I think that the judge screwed up, and if by some miracle they come with a guilty verdict, there is a lot for appeal right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the defense doesn't have anything to stand on when it comes to appeals, because I think he did what they wanted every time on those notes as far as the instructions to the jury. He really did side with the defense almost the entire time.
Oh, but he shouldn't have give them like 3 pretty consistent what's the name, Allen charge or some form of Allen charge.
Yeah.
I have an unrelated to this. I have an update to my case that it didn't go very well today. And to top it all out, that guess who showed up for the court? His previous landlord, and we found out that he had that our tenants had problems previously to moving with us.
Oh no!
They should be on a blacklist.
They should have been a blacklist. Landlords unite. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's funny. Most of the laws nowadays are actually sort of written to favor the tenants. It actually makes it pretty hard for landlords to evict someone or to get them kicked out. But I feel your pain. I am sorry.
Yeah, it took the previous tenant 2 years to kick him out. So I don't know. We have one date, which is the 31st of August next year. So hopefully by then they will get out for good. And then I'll tell you all about it because it's a spicy one. Trust me.
We like the spice. Wonderful.
Yeah, but on the other hand, but thank you everyone who wished good luck, because I mentioned last time about it. But I found out that most of the cases are open for, so I can go and watch here in Sweden. So I might as well do it. As I will. That guy also worked for a court system, and he showed me where to look up all the ongoing cases.
Nice.
So I can, if I see something interesting, I can just pop up and go watch it.
How would it be to watch court during the daytime for you? instead of all night long. How would it be to actually watch court during the day instead of all night long for you?
Yeah.
And
when I was dropping papers once, there was a lot of lawyers, and including a prosecutor, and I was like, I first thought it was a few cases, more than one case, but I overheard there was some big fraud case, and all of them were for one case. I was like, why do I have to go? Why do I have plans for, somewhere I have to be after I drop off this document? This sounds like a spicy one, because there are so many lawyers, like 10 lawyers, that can't be small case.
Man, that's no fun. No fun. Hopefully you get a good resolution eventually on that one, but not good when you have a bad renter.
One thing I learned is that background check is going to be, if we ever decide to do this, which I doubt, that we are going to background check out, like go a deep dive, like FBI deep dive or CIA deep dive, whatever
If you want to
wish.
rent Angela's place, be prepared to provide all the details and lots of references.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
wow. Well, that's good. Well, I'm glad you got some access to some Sweden courts, though. That's really neat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not televised. You can't watch it. But I can, if I find something good, I'll maybe call in and tell you if there is.
That's fun.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And that's why I want to call in to just update, because I did say that was going on. It did not go as well. We have another date on June 10th, but I don't think it will go then as well. So we will see.
Bummer. Well, good luck
yeah.
to you. Good luck, Angela.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the update. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Roro. 10 gifted memberships. Amazing. Thank you. That was super, super generous. Lots of doubles there. Roro, thank you, and super. Trials aren't televised here in Canada. I know. Bummer. That's why you have to watch these ones. Let's see. What if it is hung? Somebody asked a question. What if it is hung? Will they find out the count? Toby's mom, only if the jurors decide to speak afterwards. They don't. When they come in and announce they're hung, they don't tell the judge, or should not tell the judge. He's told them, as a matter of fact, don't tell me your count. I'm honestly, I mean, it's 25 minutes. I'm honestly impressed that they've been out this long. I'm just, wow. Coming up on 30 minutes. Watch for the bailiff. If Jose walks across the screen and hands a bailiff to the two parties, that's going to be an indication that a note has come out. They're beating up juror number 11. Do you think it's one holdout, like a 7-1? There's a very good chance that if it's a holdout, okay, imagine this. If it's a holdout, somebody feels frustrated in the case, in the jury room. Somebody is really frustrated. And the chance of there being somebody on the jury that speaks out goes higher than if they're unanimous and we're all united on this. We're together. We're going to keep our lips sealed. Nobody's going to talk. You know, our decision was final and no one's going to get to second guess us. But a holdout, there's probably someone who will talk and just be like, I can't believe I wasted 4 weeks for this one person who would not listen to reason. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I think there's a few holdouts, the Sunshine. Do you think the same judge will be on the second trial if they retry Mr. Kelly? Jessica, I think so. There hasn't been any talk of dismissing the judge. And I think he did, and I'll say this, from an appellate opinion, and I'm not an appellate judge, but from my uneducated appellate experience, I think he did a very good job of trying to correct the mistakes he made during trial. And sometime you have time to correct those mistakes. We talked about that a little bit earlier this morning. But, you make a mistake and sometimes you can back up and find a way to remedy it before the trial's over. You don't just have to dump the baby out with the bathwater and start over. So I think he did a good job trying to remedy that. If anything, he might have gone too far with the state because now they're really upset. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. We've got some updates. Let's see. Okay, it's not one holdout. I promise you. This is from Laura. I can't say juror numbers at this point, but there's at least 2 favorable for the defense. Could even be split in half. So they're saying at least 2. Apparently, just from what they're seeing from body language as the jurors appear in court. At least 2 and possibly 4. You can't get over, you now have 4 minutes. Dumping the baby out with the bathwater is a crime. Yes, Austin Girl. Our court watcher in court reported that it looked like juror number 11 had been crying when she came in during this last appearance in court. Could be pollen, could be allergies, could be a million things. But It looked like she'd been crying. They have 1 minute, or I've lost the poll. What I'm saying about mistakes being corrected, sometimes a judge can give the wrong instruction. Okay, he can say something that's legally not correct to the jury, and then when it's brought to his attention, he can go back and he can make a corrective statement, and the jury can be instructed. The other day this happened. I need you to disregard that. We're going to strike that from the court record. It's really hard to unring the bell, but from an appellate standpoint, that generally is sufficient. When those efforts are done in a timely manner. Marcia, not a fan of the judge. Not a fan of the judge. Thank you very much. Appreciate the super chat. Is that Marcia? Did I say Marcia? Marcia. Those stuck did not read the reasonable doubt instruction. It's very clear. Allergies are definitely a problem down there right now. The judge has complained about them as well. Michael, good to join from Scotland. Welcome. Welcome. I've got a good friend from Edinburgh. He lives in Canada now, but I've never been up there myself, although I did have a kilt. It used to fit me, but apparently kilts shrink as you get older. Did you know that around your waist? They no longer fit around your waist as you get older. I didn't know that about the kilt. Had I known, I would have got a bigger one. Ashley ordered pizza for us while we're all waiting. Wonderful. We have to remember that jurors are not lawyers. Yeah, look at the jurors we were watching in the Thurston, Washington court, as we're going to jump back to that if we've got some time, and watch that jury selection process play out. Most of them have almost no experience in court whatsoever, and no experience with the law. And when they were asked, out of 20 jurors, how many of you think my client is innocent as he sits here right now? Less than half of them raised their hands, even after the judge had just barely told them that you must believe that he has a cloak of innocence right now, that he is innocent unless proven guilty. He's innocent unless proven guilty, and he has no burden to defend himself. And then his lawyer gets up there. How many of you think my client's innocent? And nope, half of them just couldn't do it. Any word on the Maya update? Yes, they picked some new dates. I don't know all of them. I'll have to look, but they picked some new dates that should be spicy. Might have some sanction discussions in court, and it will probably be covered. I think it's right around... Oh, we've got some time. I think they've got some time. Let's see. I don't care how long they would keep me there. I wouldn't be changing my vote. The longer they're stuck, the more time cartels have to find their families. Oh, Chadwick, that's awful. Let's see. Marcia, it's the favorite Brady from the Brady Bunch. Marcia. I grew up without a television, but I know the Brady Bunch was a TV show, and there was a Marcia on there, I think. Nosy, that's the only thing I've noticed. The only thing that makes kilts shrink is me getting older. It has nothing to do with my waist size. Ashley, if they want me to put up the counter, I can. Right now I'm using that I'm using that system for our court feed today. I think it's important to be respectful of the jury, even if they don't agree with your opinion. I think they're trying hard, and this is difficult for them. Have compassion. I agree. Lovely Beth. I think each juror, as long as each juror has listened, paid attention, and thoughtfully reached a verdict for themselves, whether it's guilty or not guilty, I think they've done their job. As the court's concerned, they want the jury as a whole to reach a verdict in the trial. So that's what they're pushing for. That's the reason we have trials, to figure out if somebody is guilty or not guilty. And in this case, the jury is not able to do it. Would stating you're a law tuber get you struck from the jury? I don't know. If I ever get summoned, I'll let them know. It's like, do you mind if I stream this on my channel? I think that would get me struck. I don't want to get struck, though. I'd love the experience. It would be, plus I think it's a civic duty. Oh, no, I appreciate it, Lovely Beth. It was a good comment. It was a great comment. They're working hard. I'm surprised they've been out there for over half an hour on hunger strike. This means that some jurors think this is proven beyond a reasonable doubt then. Yes. That means that at least one juror is firmly convinced that it was Mr. Kelly's bullet that killed Gabriel. Because that's every single verdict has to find that it was his bullet that killed Gabriel. Unless, of course, they find him not guilty on killing Gabriel and then only charged with the reckless discharge of a firearm and only convict on the reckless discharge for the shot that was fired towards Daniel. That one charge. But it's very unlikely that they went that way. Ashley says, I voted for hunger strike. You're winning, Ashley. I guess we still have 26 minutes for the other group before you win. Yes. Why is there only 8 jurors? What happened to 12, particularly in a trial that could send someone to jail? Every state is different. Every state is different. And in Arizona, they use 8 jurors. They had 12 total, 4 alternates. Okayest wife says, make Mrs. R.A. stream the trial. It's not technically you then. Mr. Fix-It. Are you offering like liposuction or a tummy tuck? I don't know exactly what's in that offer there. Sounds painful. Sixteen and a half hours of deliberation. Let's see. I could show you the clan tartan, but not the name. I cheated and ordered 5 Guys via DoorDash. Yes, I like it as well. I wouldn't want any. I would hate it if there was a juror up there who was agreeing. What's the bailiff saying? If there was a juror up there who was agreeing just because everyone else is. It's just they won't. I've tried. They won't listen to me. Fine, I'll agree with them. That would be the worst possible outcome. This is the grand lift. I've got the boy lift and the grand lift. Jose wishes his mustache looked like the grand lift's mustache. It's a great one. Look at that antenna on his radio. Holy telephone pole. It practically gets him right in the armpit. That is a huge antenna. It must have to do with the location they're at, with poor coverage. A lot of police radios have a much smaller antenna than that, but I guess the poor coverage to require better reception. VHF goodness. What do you think? 155 megahertz? 6 volt? Do you think that's about what he's talking on? That detective sitting there needs to resign, says Deanna. A lot of us weren't a fan of that detective. It was frustrating to hear him say that what he believes is the same thing, where they're different. He's communicated with aliens. Has Maya received any money yet? No, Dodie, they have not. The older you get, the bigger antenna you get. Let's see. That's his verdict mustache. He's sitting on the table, just kicked back. I got some. Remember, you made it for me. Timer was at 16 hours, 6 minutes, and 48 seconds before you accidentally hit the reset button. So you're saying I need to add the 6:48 to the time? It's still illusion. I appreciate you doing your homework there. Behind the Magic, member for 4 months says, I feel sad for Mrs. Kelly. Imagine making it to this age and having to deal with something like this. Not once, but twice. It's a sad case for many. It is. It's sad on both sides. I mean, there's a family on one side with a dead son or dad or brother, and then on the other side, not necessarily connected, there's a family that's charged in his murder. It's not justice. You can't just say, hey, we've got a dead body, somebody has to pay. It might as well be him. It doesn't work that way. It's got to be the right person. This jury apparently is not on the same page. Is that our bailiff?
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Don't see any notes yet. Nicole, you got a jury summons today. Hope it's for the Delphi case. Wow. Nicole, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. If that's the case you get, that is huge. And that is quite, I mean, it's a good chance of a book deal at the end of it, but still, that's a big case. So here's a question for those who serve on a jury who take meticulous notes. You're not allowed to bring the notes home with you at the end of the trial, nor are you allowed to bring them home with you at the end of the day. They stay in the courthouse. So for someone who wanted to, say, document their experience, would it be wrong when you go home to just do a data dump of everything that happened that day and recreate your notes to the best of your ability and have a copy at home? Is that how you, I mean, if you wanted to write a book about your experience on a high profile trial, is that the best way to do it? Lenova, I forget, why is the investigator allowed to sit at the prosecution table when he's a witness? There's an exception for the lead investigator. In almost every case, he's allowed to do that. Also, there's exceptions for victims that they're allowed to sit in there as well. Other than that, the exclusion rule or the sequestration rule requires all the witnesses who will be testifying at trial, with the exception of experts who are allowed to comment on other witnesses' testimony. They have to not listen and not be in the courtroom during testimony. We don't see the notes like physically, but yes, the judge shows them to both sides, unless they have the jury count on it. Is it bad to do that with juror notes? I've never heard a judge say you can't do that. I would say you have to protect the notes you have at home so that other people don't have access to them, because they're not supposed to be privy to that information, especially during the trial. Anne says, I'd do that. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. If you wanted to write a book, that's exactly what you would do. Ask Becky. Yes, on the notepad. I can't think of anything better to do. I mean, it might be a little much to like record yourself talking about it, but I don't think it would be outside research because you're not getting any additional information. It may count as the internal deliberation as you're thinking it over. I'm just not sure. Shayla, not impressed with the judicial system down here in Arizona. I'm not there, but I've never run into the law down there. And the times I was in Phoenix, it was hot. Man, one day we had an incredible thunderstorm, which was absolutely amazing. Just Joe. No thinking aloud for jurors. Can you give a summary of what Laura said again, pretty please? I'm sorry I missed it. Jamie, let me go back and tell you what happened starting this morning from Laura. Let's see. They had some other things going on in court that were late. The camera was just setting up. They recessed at noon till 1:30 because there had been no word from the jury all morning. When they got back from lunch, they said that nothing happened until, 5:55 our time, Eastern. And they had a note. The note was that they were hung again. Then we had the Allen charge. Jury 11 looked like she'd been crying, visible frustration this time on many. I don't expect they'll be back there long. Going back in the courtroom now to wait. It's not one holdout, I promise you. I can't say juror numbers at this point, but there's at least 2 favorable for the defense. Could even be split in half. So lots happening there. Miss the monsoons of Arizona. Thinking the split is pretty even. I'd love to know what the split is. Let's see. Angelique, I'm not seeing the court reporter. Are you seeing her anywhere? Kimanoke. Annoying, I know, but can you please give a 2-minute recap, a case recap for those of us who only watched the part where the judge obnoxiously cut off the defense? Yes. Oh, there's the court reporter. I see her now. Thank you. What's up? They're hung, and they had the Allen charge. That's all. Okay. We're waiting. It's been 45 minutes since they've had the Allen charge. And we've had 16 hours and 6 minutes of deliberation prior to that. Let's see. Kimanoke, let me see if I can give you a quick recap. Mr. George Allen Kelly is a rancher who owns a ranch down near the border in Arizona by Nogales in the Keno Springs area. His ranch is about 1.5 miles from the border, and they apparently have a fair amount of activity of people who cross the border in that area. Some of it is just people coming across, and some of it may be related to drugs. This case, the state is charging and saying that Mr. Allen decided one day that he'd had enough and he was going to go shoot one of the people on his land that moved through his land, and he saw an opportunity and did it. 1 bullet, or actually 9 bullets. 1 hit the target. Mr. Gabriel had 1 bullet enter his back down low, sort of low in the ribs, and come out near his sternum, high in the ribs, and at about 115 yards from Mr. Kelly's house. Mr. Kelly's version of the story is that he was in his house. He did hear a gunshot outside on his property, which is 173 acres. And he told his wife about it. She started calling the Border Patrol, as he did as well. He talked to the Border Patrol, said, I'm getting shot at. I'm maybe returning fire. He grabbed his AK-47 and stepped out onto his patio and says he saw 2 people, or a group of people. Oop, there's a note from the bailiff. There's a note from the bailiff, comes to each side. Anyway, he says he saw this group of people, and one of them had a firearm, or at least one of them had a firearm.
Did you see that?
What?
The deflated look. She looked at that paper and she goes,
Wow, she's defeated. So he heads up, says Laura. We're waiting to see what happened. Obviously, something's happened. The jury has stopped deliberating. They've sent a note or a verdict, one of the two. Anyway, so he sees this group of people. He is trying to scare them off the property, so he aims high in the air above them and fires 9 rounds with his AK-47, and they run off. He called the police. They come. They search the area. They can't find anything. They leave. Later that day, he's out sort of checking on his horse, putting his horse away and everything. His dogs find a body, and the body's been shot. It's been dead for a little while, 115 yards from his house. He calls the police. There's some weird calls where he's a lot bit cagey with 911. When 911 calls him after he calls the Border Patrol, he didn't want to work with the sheriff or 911. He wanted to work with the Border Patrol. Border Patrol tends to Oh, it's frozen. Boy, bailiff is frozen. We'll see if we can get that video back in just a second. There we go. Anyway, he didn't say the same thing to everybody, but most of the information, instead of changing the story, I would say he added information when asked, and the state basically, the sheriff, the police, in their initial call, when they dispatched people, started getting information wrong, and the police kept passing the information on that he had actually shot the guy when he said, "I never shot him. I never said I shot him." So that information was passed on. So there you have it. You've got a dead migrant on his property. They never found a bullet. It was a clean through shot, so the bullet entered the body and left the body. Even though they used metal detectors, they couldn't find it. Court sound. And it's been a 4-week trial with a lot of testimony. The bullet trajectory, the state is saying that just lines up, that the Gabriel was walking by there and it just lines up perfectly with the house and it would have been shot. But the problem is the witness they have that said he watched Gabriel get shot describes it differently. Says it happened in a different area. Says they were 2 football fields away from the border wall. Says Mr. Kelly was standing over the body when there was no evidence of anyone around the body. Says that he fell backwards and his eyes rolled up in his head. Instead, he fell on his face. Just the facts don't line up very well. Here we go. Here we go. John says, I'm getting History of the World Part 1, Empress Nympho vibes now. I think the jury is hung. Can't wait for the court feed to be released on the 4-box, the Zoom view, so we can see the prosecutor. Hopefully see what happened. I'm not sure if they'll show that part when the bailiff came out. Because she looks dejected.
Can you just get the last word? What's that? You get the last word. I'm the second person.
Choose a more convenient location.
It's a note. It's a note. Prosecutor said the defense said to the prosecutor, what was the last word on the second paragraph? The 60-minute people are celebrating because it looks like they're coming in that way. It's going to be loud when they yell the all rise for the judge. If it's a note, they're hung. But they might have actually written down the areas where they don't have agreement. The jury might be up for more deliberation. We can't see the defense, but they sound a little more animated. The body language from prosecution is a little dejected, sort of hunched over. Hands on face. This is definitely going to be a robe situation. We do know that defense has been monitoring our chat, especially during key moments of the trial. So we might get an opportunity to speak with them after this case is over as well. Here we go. Robe on.
Record shows the jury is absent, counsel are present, and the defendant is present. The jury sent out another note at 4 p.m. and copies were made and distributed to counsel. Dear Judge Fink, the jury followed your latest instructions and don't believe we can render a unanimous decision on either count. That's signed by the jury foreperson, juror number 1. Then it says we also need clarification on verdict form. We also need clarification on the verdict forms based on the above. All right. What's the state's position first as the first issue? Well, as to both, I guess, really, because they're interconnected.
Your Honor, I think we just tell them that if they're at an impasse and can't reach a verdict, then they don't have to do anything with the verdict forms.
Defense is like, well, I think they should mark
Question number 2.
not guilty.
I'd ask that we just reiterate the impasse instruction and ask them to continue deliberating and see if they can make progress.
What about the verdict form? I mean, I'm not sure what that means. I mean, it would seem to me.
I think they're
It would seem to me that if you're at an impasse, you're at an impasse as to everything. And I'm not really sure what the issue would be on the verdict form. That concerns me a little bit because the possibility of what they're doing on the verdict form might be inconsistent with what they're saying otherwise, but that's some speculation on my part. Yeah.
I think it's because there's not a final checkbox that says we cannot agree on the less final of the lesser included. I think that's why they're confused. Because they've probably gone through and decided we can't agree on this, we can't agree on this, and now they're at the third one and there's nowhere to check the box.
We need to iris down on this camera.
Oh, right, because the last lesser included just says guilty or not guilty.
And so does the second count. It doesn't have a we cannot agree. So I think that may be the confusion. Like, do we still have to fill this form out? What do we do with the forms?
Okay.
But, and as to counsel's first point, I think at this point it would be coercive for us to indicate that they should continue to
I agree with the state.
deliberate, but that would be the state's position, Your Honor, and I would defer to the court on that.
All right, thank you. And defense, what's your reasoning?
Just that you only gave them that instruction, I think, 30 minutes or something before they came back out with what they stated. It's been a long trial. I think they're at the end of a really long day. They looked pretty exhausted when you brought them out here. So I think it would be beneficial to at least give them an opportunity perhaps to break for the day and try again tomorrow. And if they can't, they can't. But you recently gave them that instruction.
And my concerns, Judge, is the 30-day trial, the cost, the time, the expense that not only this county, but each of the parties. It's not an easy one to give up too soon, because then we have to potentially try it again depending on the state, and that expense will be put out there again.
No, I understand, agree, believe me. Well, what Ms. Larkin is suggesting is that I offer them, once again, the opportunity to avail themselves of another break and come back tomorrow.
Seriously? After an Allen
And
charge.
I'm willing to do that. I don't. So would you like me to craft a response that basically says that the court can offer you an opportunity once again to, if it would be useful to you, to take another break, come back tomorrow morning and reinitiate jury.
This is crazy.
deliberations.
That works for us, right?
The
And
judge
then
won't
allow
let the
them to
jury
respond,
go.
Judge, is that the intent, to elicit a response from them?
Right.
I don't have any objection to that, Judge, if they think it would be helpful.
I mean, I think you have to offer them something different other than just keep deliberating. That obviously hasn't been productive to keep deliberating right now. But I did notice when they came in, you know, there was obviously, it's difficult to judge, but or to draw conclusions from what you see, but there was obviously some frustration there that I hadn't seen before, which is understandable, but a break might help. So, all right, give me a minute.
And then as to the second one, were we going to respond on that? Just tell them if they're at an impasse, they don't have to fill out the verdict forms, or how do we address that?
What's the defense position on that?
That's fine with us if we could just instruct them that if they can't come to an agreement, they don't have to mark anything on a verdict
If
form.
you cannot come to an unanimous agreement on any of the charges, then you do not have to fill out the verdict form.
Right.
Okay. In a second.
I don't have words for this. How many Allen charges can you issue? How many take a break and come back tomorrow's can you give before the jury is literally going to revolt? What do we have to say to get out of here, Judge? We've done everything we can to reach a conclusion, and we can't.
Well, Your
This
Honor, I suppose
group
it's
cannot be
possible that
unanimous.
they didn't quite understand the lesser included. I don't know if the court wants to just explain them again.
He's like, nope.
I hate to give up an opportunity for them.
There's no way
to
the state will let this.
resolve the case if they have the ability to do so. I just throw that out there for the court.
The judge is going to throw that out. There's no way the defense will allow. Try for a lesser included from the judge. He shook his head when she was saying that. I don't think he's going to include that. Yeah, how many times do we have to watch jurors be treated badly before we decide we don't want to do it? I want to hear what the wording he uses here. It's the end of the day. We're approaching, 7:16 here in on East Coast. So we're about 4:16 in Arizona, right? Those that selected Hunger Strike won. Thanks for the white balance. It's the brightness, cameraman. Turn down the iris. Down the iris. You can't read it because your iris. Okay. Appreciate the creative shots, but really just close down the lens a little bit. I'm not sure if this is grounds for a mistrial. It's grounds for a mutiny. Appreciate all those who click the like button on the stream. It does definitely help the channel out, and it's free.
Can you run me a copy of that verdict form?
Run me a copy of the verdict form, he says to the bailiff. Where's SWAT when you need them? Hostage negotiator. Stat. It's a noisy courtroom. The AC is running. It's 91 degrees in Arizona. It's pretty hot. AC is running full blast, and that's some of the hum you hear in the background. An Allen charge is an instruction the judge gives the jury when the jury cannot reach a conclusion. They can't reach a unanimous decision. This basically tells them, encourages them to try again, to go back, to reconsider, to be willing to change your opinion if presented with facts that show that you're wrong. I think the last question is reasonable. If the jury comes back with a no, declare it an impasse and go home tonight. Yeah, that's they're going to go home right now. Here's the judge. He's doing a final read.
Here's what I wrote. The court understands that you have continued to work hard to come to verdicts. The court can offer you the opportunity to once again recess for the evening and to resume deliberations again tomorrow morning if you believe that would be helpful. As to the verdict forms, I am not sure what your issue is without more specificity. If, however, you are unable to reach unanimous verdicts on any count, then you need not fill out the verdict form. Thank you. You will instead report to the court that you simply are not able to reach verdicts.
No mention of lesser included.
No, Judge.
No, Judge.
All right, it's 4:18 p.m. I'll give a question, a note to the bailiff with my response. If there's nothing else, we're recess.
We rise to vote.
I don't know how much longer this can go. First of all, I was floored when the jury said, we can't reach a verdict, we're deadlocked, and we have a question about the forms. But it's sort of funny because they didn't know what to do with the forms when they're deadlocked. Now it's going to be quick. Now it's going to be quick. We might hear the jury in the background screaming from the deliberation room in frustration. I tell you, I think the defense knows they have firm support on the jury. Firm as in immovable. Those individuals who will never surrender their vote. Why not try to push the others to see if they'll move? There's our bailiff right there, came back. I heard him ask any objections, and they said no. Now we wait again, Jules. We're back in the waiting game. So we're now over 17 hours total deliberation. Nearly an hour, well, about an hour since the original Allen charge. And now the jury is told, even though we told you if you can't reach a decision, come tell us. You told us you can't reach a decision, and now we're saying, well, try harder or try again tomorrow. I was reading on one site on Yahoo, said that Arizona prohibits the use of the Allen charge. The Allen charge is the name they give it, or the dynamite charge. They have the saying they have in the Arizona pattern jury instructions is, they call it the impasse instruction. And the judge read that. It's a standard criminal 53 impasse instruction. Sorry.
The judge said we're on recess, and then he left, and I got the distinct impression he was going home. Done. But no. They're all still sitting there.
Yeah, because it's only 4:15, 4:20, 4:23 actually. So they've got almost another hour before the court closes. So there's still a chance that the jury could return a very quick note tonight. Actually, it's very likely there will be another note from the jury tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some language in it. If I was a juror, man, where's Paul when we need him? You know, we need somebody who can just, hippo lover. We need juror. What is it? What was
Juror one.
Juror number one. Was he juror number one?
Yeah, they're both juror number one.
We need him to come back and basically lay it on the line for the judge to understand where they're at. Because I really think what the lawyers were seeing, what the judge said he saw in the jury, with the facial expressions, with the distraught looks, with the frustration. I think if he's seeing it as they walk out here into court, it's probably worse back there.
Well, and can I just say, this is judgmental of me, I guess, but just looking at the judge from what little I've seen of him, he doesn't seem like an amazingly strong body language reader. So if he's picking up on this, I think it might be pretty obvious.
It's also, I think, quite likely that the judge has made up his mind on this case.
Oh, talk about that.
And he, I would say, is firmly with the defense. Meaning he sees the problem, and probably for different reasons. He's probably very frustrated with the way the state, the experts, those people, those investigators who should have been thorough in their investigation and should have been forthcoming with facts, were hedging their bets, were evasive in their answers, were obtuse is the word he used during testimony, during cross-examination. I think he saw the frustration there and said, this can't be right. The process here is broken. We can't get to this conclusion appropriately when the process was broken. And I think he made up his mind because of that.
But
and so
he shouldn't do that.
He shouldn't. He should be impartial. He measures the law. He decides what comes into the courtroom as far as what is admissible, as far as evidence and what is not. The jury determines what is truthful and what is not. But I think the judge is with the defense. I mean, he literally says, hey, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do that. And the defense says, hey, how about this? And they're like, sure, I'll do that. I'll do that. And state says, oh, we object. And he says, never mind. And I'll do what the defense said. He literally went back to the defense and said, what would you like me to do? Well, I'd like you to do this. Okay, I'll do that. State says, can we have some instructions about lesser included? Nope. His head was shaking because she was still asking the question.
But that was a no.
It wasn't going to happen. But he's firmly with the defense. So much so that I believe that if the jury came back with a conviction, that you could have a reasonable chance of the defense asking for and getting a judgment notwithstanding, that the judge would overturn the conviction. Is that something they can do in Arizona? I have to look and see.
Okay, while we're looking and seeing, isn't it the law that after you've given the Allen charge and they come back and they say we can't, that's the end. You cannot tell them go home and think about it again. Scott has to read it. I'm so grateful Scott can read these things. I look at it and I'm like, whoop, crossed eyes.
Kelly may not be able to afford private counsel again, so he really wants to roll a dice this time. A lot on the line for him. Yeah, very likely, Andrew, that if he has to do this again, he loses his ranch. That he has to sell his home to pay for his defense. And what happens if he wins then? Oh well, good luck. You're free. You don't get your ranch back. You don't get the money back. You don't get to sue the state. It's really sad.
Something has shifted. I wish I was in the courtroom so I could see what was actually shifting, because to begin with, it was the state who was like, push them, make them work for it. And now the state's like, oh, it's over. And the defense is like, no, they've got days in them still. I'm like, what shifted there? I want to go around and hand out pillows and Snickers bars to all these poor jurors. I'm like, man, I'm sure they're trying their best. It just seems like this is it. It's not ideal, but you did choose people who would make up a decision and then stick to it, and they're doing that. I'm not like you, Scott. I can't just fill dead air.
Oh, sorry. I'm reading the jury instructions again, just trying to see if there are any indications of what should happen next. When a jury has not reached a unanimous decision and has notified the court, the trial judge should ask the jury whether there is an impasse and needs assistance from the court. If the jurors indicate their decision is final, the impasse instruction is not appropriate.
You already ran over that.
We're like 4 or 5 times into this, but there's just no release button. There's like a catch-22. They can keep saying, well, try again harder, try harder, do more. It was a big trial. We know you're tired. Take a break. Come back tomorrow. They can just continue this way.
They can't, though, because they've already
Judges cannot issue a Janov in a criminal trial? in Arizona or at all? Because some states have Janov, right? The judgment notwithstanding the verdict. Can the judge not let them retry? Well, if this ends up in a mistrial, this goes right back to the prosecutor's desk. The ball then lands in their court. They have the decision to decide if they want to pursue charges again.
And do you think they will if it comes back hung?
Well, it's not always just as easy as, well, we really think he did it, so we want to convict him. Sometimes, believe it or not, it's a money issue. It's a money issue, and it's a time issue, and it's the appearance. It's like, look, we tried. We just don't think that we can, it's a good use of our time. There are other more pressing cases we have to focus on. And sometimes they can decide not to prosecute on that. But I think at that point they have a set amount of time before they have to file and say, yes, we're going to recharge, or we're going to retry the case. You can't just leave it out there forever and say, oh, we'll start, in a couple of years we might pick this up again. You can't ruin somebody's life like that.
But the
Janov Means keeps the
treehouse,
jury until November, says John Kerry.
the treehouse one, he didn't even ask the prosecution. He's like, and back on the books it goes. Like, is it normal? Is it right for him to say, get back to me if you want to pursue this again?
Is it normal to say that again? Is it right for
the judge to talk to the prosecution and say, here, let me know if you want to prosecute this again?
It's standard procedure. It's just like when you're convicted, you have a set time where you can file an appeal. If there's a hung jury, you have a set time before you can have to file the paperwork if you want to refile.
But I'm saying in the treehouse trial, he was like, it's happening. Just get it on the calendar right away. And that seemed weird to me. Maybe it was weird.
The judge in that case, he just assumed it was going to be retried, which was weird. But then he disqualified himself shortly after that,
which was probably smart.
Yes, that was not going to go his way. I think there was some behavior there that would have been definitely
worse than this.
Appeal worthy. Jury's going to be so frustrated they agree on not guilty to leave, and the judge wants that, says Carolyn.
Or it might go the other way. That's what kills me.
What if they break the one holdout?
Yeah.
What if there's say it's juror 11? We're putting that on her because she was, according to our court watchers, that's she appears to be the one that most is siding with the defense. Whoa, we're back. 10 minutes.
I bet they're giving him the empty forms.
Jury's absent.
I need to get the client. Yeah, go ahead.
That took just as long as it took for them to write the note and hand it to the bailiff, and the judge to put his robe back on. Yeah, they can only overturn a guilty conviction, not a not guilty. This is hung. This case is hung. And I hope the juror used some French.
Records show the presence of the defendant, counsel for both sides. The jury sent back another note. This note came in just a couple minutes ago. It was response to my note, and it says as follows. Thank you, Judge Fink. We do not believe resuming deliberations will change juror opinions. It's signed juror number 1.
It's done.
What's
it's a mistrial.
The state?
Your Honor, the state requests that the court declare a mistrial.
And for the record, Judge, we object, and we would ask that they be brought back tomorrow to continue deliberations.
I'm going to, I understand your position, protecting the record, but I think the jury has made it abundantly clear, beginning yesterday, which was too early, but then they continued to deliberate. They deliberated another hour and a half or 2 hours yesterday afternoon, and not yesterday afternoon, but Friday afternoon, and deliberated all day today, and then just deadlocked. So I'm going to declare this trial. Let's bring in the jurors.
Reset it again. So
And the state would request an opportunity to speak to anyone on the jury who's willing to speak to the state.
and defense will as well.
As you know, I customarily meet them first, thank them for their service, and I'll inform them of the request.
Thank you. And the victims are on the way over, Your Honor.
He already called the jury.
What I think we'll do is set the matter for status in a couple of weeks.
I think we only have 60 days to reset it, Your Honor, so I'd ask that we set it for next Monday.
Wow, they want
We'll
to
have a
go.
decision by then.
Next Monday, they'll decide if they want to retry this.
Any issue with that, the defense? Setting a status next Monday, so see what the state's position is.
This is a mistrial.
Would that be afternoon calendar, right?
Yes.
That's fine with me, Judge.
Okay, you can appear remote.
Thank you.
Please rise.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jurors, counsel, and the defendant. I've read their note. Juror number one, I believe you're the designated foreperson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Is it your opinion as the foreperson that if the court were to provide you with additional time and any other resources or any other materials or evidence that I can, that would not be a fruitful endeavor, and you would still, as a juror, be deadlocked and unable to reach a verdict?
I believe that we would still be deadlocked and not be able to reach a verdict, Your Honor.
And is the jury deadlocked and not able to render a unanimous decision on any of the counts?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Any other record that counsel wishes the court to make at this point in time?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to excuse you. If you go back to the jury room, well, you are excused. You are relieved of the admonition of the court. And I'll discuss that with you some more when I come back to the jury room. But it's my practice to always meet with the jurors after the deliberations and after a trial and thank them for their service and answer any questions that you have that I might be able to answer. So if you wouldn't mind, this will just be a moment. Going back to the jury room, and I know it's 4:35 or so, but I'll be back there very shortly to thank you for your service. You are excused. You're released from the admonition, and you are excused to go back and retire to the jury room.
Please rise, Mr. Board.
So after 4 weeks of trial, the
Please
jury
have a seat. The
unable
record
to
will
reach a
show the
verdict.
absence of the jurors based upon the jury's inability to reach a verdict on any account. The court orders that a mistrial, that this case is a mistrial. The court will set a status hearing for next Monday on the court's usual law and motion calendar for 1:30 to allow the state to take a look at the situation and decide whether or not it wishes to ask the court to reset the matter for trial. I also want to remind the parties, notwithstanding that any post-trial motions are due under Rule 20 or any other rule that's applicable within 10 days from today's date. So be aware of those time limits.
Your Honor, the state does have 2 pending motions. It would be very helpful if the court ruled on those because we do need that material to make a decision about what we're going to do next. We've asked for the JAS recordings of the trial and also copies of the questions by the jury post-closing argument and the court's responses thereto. So we're attempting to make some decisions.
Understood. All right, very well. I'll inform the jurors of your desire to speak with them. I'm going to go back and thank them for their service. Is there anything else from counsel?
Just that we'd like to speak to them, Your Honor.
Right.
We would too, Judge.
Very well. I'll communicate that to them. I'll give this final note to the clerk, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Wow. Both defense and prosecution wants that. Now, The prosecution there at the very end. Turn this off. We're gonna lose our feed here in just a minute. The prosecution at the very end did just announce something. They said, Judge, we have 2 pending motions. It would be very helpful for us if you would resolve them because they're sitting out there. One was from last night or Friday night when they said we want those recordings, and we also want the questions from the jurors and the judges' answers, the written answers. We want all that. They get that stapled question after this is over. They get that stapled question. They get the count. So even if the jury doesn't say anything to them, they're going to find out what the count was. And that will be, as I said, very helpful in their determining if they want to retry this or not, because that will be an indication, what the average jury came up with what count. If it's 7-1 in their favor, guess what? They're going to retry this. But if it's 7-1 and there was only one holdout saying guilty, you know what? That just might not be where they go. So they have requested a copy of the jurors' questions. Who gets what stapled question? Yes. Man. There's one stapled question the jury gave that they should not have given to the judge. They should not have turned it over. And it was the foreman informing the judge what the count was when they pulled the jury. And it was the first time they were informing the judge that they were hung. And he thought he was going to do that best by showing those numbers. He should not have done that. The judge did not look. Our bailiff, Jose, saw the note and said, hey, that's not appropriate. Told the judge, it's got the numbers on here. The judge said, fold it, staple it. We're going to file it. The prosecution is now saying, we want that file. We want those questions, all the questions and all the responses. They could care less about the responses. I'm pretty sure they're not going to find anything in the judge's wording because he told them what's in there. And the questions they've seen everything except for that one note, and that's why they want it, I think.
Yep, I think you're right.
So defense would get that too, I'm sure. If it's available to one side, it's available to both. Bet it was 50-50 each side.
Yeah, listening to the way that you described that, I think that if you were sending a note to say this is how much we are hung, a 50-50 would prove that point more than one holdout.
Yeah. Wow.
But it might not have been. It might have been one holdout where they were like, we can't turn this one person. I don't know.
Here's the thing. It is the jurors' questions, all those, they are sealed until the end of the trial. But now it's out. Now it's over. This part is over. This is all in the past. Once this trial is in the books.
So there's no protection for them. Like,
no.
Normally the judge will say.
Their jurors' names, can be posted and everything.
Oh, man.
This is crazy. Note to self, don't write notes to judge with numbers. Yes, if you're on jury selection, make sure you're foreman if it's not you. I imagine all of you will be the foreman on your jury. Probably. Because you're all the smartest people in the room when it comes to court. But make sure the foreman does not write those sort of things. Follow the judge's instructions. We're waiting for Laura. The court feed was killed, so we have nothing right now. Angela, good night. Thanks for staying up with us. Good, get some sleep. Yeah. Thank you. We don't know what the count is. We might hear. I'd be very upset as a juror.
Man, I'd just be happy to get out of there.
Yeah. What if it was a phone number for a good time call? Yeah, and still also 8675309, right? Could they retry on lesser charges? Once they retry, if they choose to retry, yes, they can change. They could change the charges. They could change the theory of the state. They could say, now we believe that he shot him on accident, and we're going with a lesser charge. They can it can be a totally new trial.
That just feels like that shouldn't be right. It shouldn't be that they can come after you and after you and after you and after you. And it's like, well, if I can't get you on that, I'll get you on something slightly less and, make you sell the farm and everything. That just feels like, how is that a free country? That doesn't seem free.
I think this is only our second hung jury that we've watched.
Yeah,
Brandy gets them all the time. Brandy Churchwell, she gets a lot of hung juries. But other than the Treehouse murder trial, Tucker, other than him, Franklin Tucker, and this trial, I can't think of any other hung juries, the trials that we've watched here.
Yeah, and honestly, almost everything that goes through is guilty. So in a very real way, a hung jury is a finding for not guilty. because it's just an uphill battle to get not guilty.
Just a fun little tidbit I can throw out there. If this case is over and all that information is released, a FOIA request could also get those juror questions.
Interesting.
So I think it's coming out. When will we find out the guilty, not guilty counts? Maybe as soon as this afternoon, this evening. There may be, because there are media outlets right there at the courtroom, and as soon as the jurors leave, they're free from that admonition. Also, the media can now just fine. They can walk up and ask them, "Hey, juror, well, we've seen you sitting there all day long. We know you're a juror. You care to tell us a little bit about what went down? What are you feeling? Are you frustrated? What was the count?" You can ask all those questions. They don't have to talk to you. And if anyone harasses them, they're supposed to tell the judge, and the judge will throw the book at them because he will protect the jurors even after a case is over if they're getting harassed. But I think FOIA could bring a great deal of light to the situation. Ray says, my first RA trial, and what a show. What a show. This is a crazy one. Can't watch another trial on this one, says Jenny. I feel that way with almost every trial. I don't think I could sit through that again, right? Like Alex Murdaugh, I don't think I could sit through that again with all the financial information. The Apple River, Letitia Stout, oh man, I don't think I could sit through that testimony again. But wow.
But we just keep doing it with new ones. What's the definition of insanity?
I think there is a give, send, go. Not a GoFundMe, but a give, send, go. GoFundMe doesn't allow criminal defense fundraisers, I think. But give, send, go, I think the Kellys are trying to crowdfund for his defense. We estimated that this would be $250,000 to $250,000, or $200,000 to $250,000 minimum in legal fees that he's accrued to this point. And guess what? If the state charges again, he basically gets to do that over again. Lawyers aren't free. Good lawyers aren't cheap.
That defense lawyer thought they had it. She thought, like, when they sent him back that last time, she was like laughing and happy. She thought they had it. And then when it came back hung that last time, she was so disappointed. I wonder why she thought they had it.
The judge didn't say that, but he should have addressed the bond issue at this point. He should have, and I'm guessing he should say bond would continue, meaning that the bond that Mr. Kelly is paid to be out on right now, and so he's not in custody pending trial, will just continue until that decision is made. But yeah, we're definitely gonna cover the decision next Monday to see if the state wants to try this again. Let's see.
I hope not. I feel like, what would you gain?
I don't know. There's a big, pickles. There's a lot of pickles involved in this case.
Oh.
You know how we say pickles, not politics. Well, there's a lot of pickles.
There's a lot of politics.
There's a lot of politics involved, and it's a tough one.
That's not a good case. Yeah.
The state should give him public defenders, especially for a second trial. In my opinion, Homestead should not be considered when calculating assets for qualification for public defender.
Is that what happened? He had to pay for it because he had his ranch?
I think he crowdfunded and paid for his defense predominantly through that money.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch this trial again, curious to see what the sides do differently. Yeah, and plus, how much of the information that came out on this trial would be allowed to be used, say, like in cross-examination or impeaching a witness in the next trial? Is it not true that at a previous proceeding you testified and this gets to come out? So you might get further headway. And honestly, almost every single judge likes to make decisions based on the moment. The line of questioning, the way it was approached, the wording the witness used, all that weighs into their decision when there's an objection. And you hold this exact same trial with the exact same witness and the same players next week, and you get different testimony.
Would it be the same judge?
It usually would be, unless the schedule was full.
Man, I bet he works to get his schedule full.
Yeah, it's like I'm picking up all the swing shifts, doing the crappy work. They use property value as income, saying you can sell it to defend yourself. They do. Peter Steele says, the point is you do not have the right to kill. right? But if he didn't kill him,
We don't have the right to put him in jail.
yeah, and that's what the jury needs to decide, and they were not able to reach that conclusion. We've been split here in this group. I know it's not been 50-50, but just like we're, have different opinions, the jury also had different opinions when they heard the evidence, and they haven't been able to hear our conversations or anything I've said at all. They might not get Daniel to come back, Chris. That is true. That could be problematic. Of course, Daniel. What happens to Daniel's offer, right? Daniel gets the whole idea that he gets to get a U green card, right? A U passport, whatever it's called. He gets a shot at citizenship, right, for him and his family because of his cooperation in this case. Does he have to cooperate again? Will they renegotiate? Will they pull that deal and say, sorry, the trial's not over? Or is the deal structured in such a way that he has to, as many times as it takes, testify? He only raised $25K. That wouldn't have paid for it. No, $25K would be maybe 10% of that. If they wanted to call Daniel again, they wouldn't be able to find him because he doesn't have a phone, right, Courtney? Doesn't have a phone, doesn't have Zoom.
What? Who doesn't have a phone these days?
It's crazy. Right? Let's see. They didn't prove anything. This is wrong. I don't know. I still am in the U visa. Who was saying that about the U visa? Sorry.
You're still in the category where you think it's possible.
Yeah, I still think that Mr. Kelly could have done this. That one of Mr. Kelly's bullets could have killed Gabriel. As that's in my realm of possibility. On the bright side, doesn't a retrial. Let's see.
Wait, though, even though it's in your realm of possibility, there's reasonable doubt. There's a reason to doubt that happened.
It hasn't been proven. Just because that's a possibility. That's like saying I have 5 dice in my hand. We're playing Yahtzee. There's a chance I could roll and get all 6s. It's a possibility. But that's not been proven that that's what we have. I could also get all 1s. I could all get, there are other possibilities as well. And if you have to say beyond reasonable doubt, you've got to prove to me it's not, that there's a 6.
So you had reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Had reasonable doubt. State didn't prove he committed the crime. No, as a matter of fact, the conclusions they jumped to, the conclusions the lead detective jumped to, where he said, well, there was a shot. We have a body with a hole in it. And Mr. Kelly has a gun. So clearly, put 1, 2, and 3 together, we've got 6. There we go. Guilty.
I just finished that math. I was like 1 and 2 and 3. Okay.
Yeah, it's up. I checked beforehand. The GoFundMe removed its fundraiser. GoFundMe did, but Give, Send, Go, I think, is allowing theirs. GoFundMe doesn't allow the criminal defense, I think. They never found the bullet that killed the guy? No, Dark Cloud. They have not. And my thinking is that the state, when they searched for that bullet, they used the idea that was already in their head, and that was, we think the bullet came from Mr. Kelly's porch and went through his body at this angle. Thus, we're gonna search the ground beyond, maybe in this angle, and we're gonna look for the bullet. We didn't find it. And the fact that they didn't find it might just be proof that he wasn't standing in that position, or that the bullet didn't come from that angle, and it might be over a different direction. What happens if the bullet is between Mr. Kelly's house and where Gabriel fell, or between where Mr. Kelly stood and where Gabriel fell? That would mean the bullet came from the other side, from the arroyo, from the hill. It causes problems with the angle, for sure, but there's already problems with the angle of how it went up through his body. But take your metal detector to try to find it. I don't know if he'd want me to, honestly.
I bet he just wants it to be done.
Yeah. The thumbnail has dynamite on it. Oh, man. Sonny needs to speak. The horse saw everything. I can tell you what I would do if I was searching for this bullet. We know that it was a Wolf brand round. We know we have existing rounds that match what was in the gun. And what I would do then is I would take my metal detector and I would take an existing bullet that had been fired into the soil, which would give you an approximate same situation as far as the size. Just have the bullet tip, the part that actually flies, and I'd get a reading on it with my detector, and I'd lock it in. Say this is what it comes up. It rings up as a 35 out of 50 on my detector. I don't care what the number is. Whatever it rings up, you get the reading and you save it, and you say I'm looking for things in this range. I'm going to ignore all the other junk and little bits. I don't want to know if there's gold under my feet, right? I want to pass over the gold nuggets and look for the bullets.
What if it wasn't that bullet? Like, are we so certain that it came from his gun?
Well, I think if the bullet went through bone and went through 3 ribs and a sternum and came out the other side, first of all, I think it's going to be deformed, and I think there will probably be fragments on there that can be identified to the victim.
But I'm saying, if you're like, this is the bullet that I'm looking for, what if that is not the bullet that killed him? Would you find a different bullet?
That would be a problem. Yeah, but you would find other similar type materials.
So you'd probably still find the bullet.
I think I would, but then that's very optimistic of me. I think the bullet came from the hill and it went in front. It went in the front. Wow, Tracy. I don't know. I think the jury asked a question, Tracy. I'm thinking about this. I think the jury asked a question about, and this was during the trial, not during deliberation. They asked specifically about, was there anything in the internal organs that showed or gave clues as to the direction of the bullet, or something to that effect?
What, they don't know where the entry and exit points are?
They have 2 points, but this is basically a full metal jacket round that made a clean pierce.
Dude, the exit point is always bigger.
It was tumbling on the entrance. And it's not the watermelon effect. It's not like that. It's more a pretty much a straight shot through.
Weird.
Maybe on past 2 you could check for gold though, says Future, just to be sure.
Since you're here.
The bullet went through the body and came out. We didn't see the actual injuries close up.
The ME couldn't tell.
I don't think the ME could tell. No.
That bothers me. I feel like you ought to be able to tell.
The ME, we had issues with the ME. Bobby Graham, thank you very much. Thanks for hanging around, Ben. I appreciate it. If you guys like what we do here, we do this every day. Please click the subscribe button. Yeah, my wife is normally not there. That's the voice you hear in your head. I hear it as well. Click the subscribe button. We'd love for you to be a friend of the channel or even become a member if you're so inclined. But it's free to subscribe, and we do this every day. So we follow courts like this. We have one other trial we're sort of in the middle of. It was jury selection out of Thurston County, Washington. We were watching that during the break. We're probably going to pick that up again tomorrow. It should be a one-day trial, but we'll finish with jury selection. This jury, they're angels. I don't know where you found them, but they have never done anything wrong in their life.
Nothing bad has ever happened.
They don't know anyone who's ever done anything wrong in their life. And either they're all liars, which I'm sort of leaning towards, quite honestly. They're all liars, or you just lucked out on this. So it'll be crazy to see what happens with this case out of Thurston, Washington.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, I don't know, confess or something. But when the one lawyer was like, "Hey, who here thinks that my client is innocent?" and everybody raised their hands, and she's like, "Why don't you think he's innocent?" I'm like, "Because I haven't heard anything." I don't know.
Who thinks he's guilty?
No, she said who thinks he's not.
Isn't innocent, not innocent.
Oh.
And they raised their hands and they're like, "Yep, he's here. I mean, he's been arrested for something."
Okay, that's worse.
It's
but I
much
thought
worse.
she was saying, who here thinks that he is innocent? And a whole lot of them raised their hands, and I just thought, well, I'm not saying you have to prove his innocence, but we're here for a trial. Bring out the evidence one way or the other.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun little case. I always loved little trials that come out of Thurston, Washington. It's a fun little courtroom. It's quirky, We get to see the jury. I mean, how many do we get to say that on? We get to see the jury, we get to hear the jury, and then we don't get to see the evidence. All the presentations, it's almost always a PowerPoint. It's off screen. But PowerPoints are terrible anyway. So, let's see. Dog Lover says, I heard the same thing as your wife. I heard it as who believes my client is not innocent. Or
they did both. They asked both ways. And there's like one or two people who were like, yeah, I think he's guilty because, my experience is usually the men and the women get the short end of the stick. And then she said, who believes he's innocent? And people were like, it was a trick question. I'm like, wait a second. There's like the idea that you have to presume that they're innocent, but by the same token, it's like, I'm not ready to judge you guilty, but I'd like to hear what's going on first.
Maybe they misunderstood the question.
Well, dude, she asked him weird.
She did. Tawanda says, recovered addict, the bullet went from his seventh rib up through the chest. They showed it on the skeleton. Tawanda, I agree. I think the trajectory is right because of the type of bone fragmentation they heard or they saw on those lower ribs, the 3 ribs that it shattered going in. I'll say this. It doesn't seem likely to me that an AK-47 round at 115 yards changed direction 40 degrees when it impacted a rib, especially a full metal jacket. It doesn't. There is so much velocity. There's so much. It's going so fast, and there's so much momentum behind that bullet that the rib is just going to be obliterated. I'm surprised it didn't just laser straight through the body and anything that's in its way, especially a full metal jacket. It doesn't make sense like that. So for me, that bullet hit somewhere else first. It's probably most likely that it hit the ground first and was a ricochet. And then it could have come from, all over the place.
Tawanda, your name makes me picture somebody ramming a car and then driving off saying, I've got more insurance. Just saying. You've never seen fried green tomatoes?
No.
Oh.
I'm like, why would you say that she does that? I apologize on behalf of my wife, Tawanda. I think your name is beautiful. Anything new about the human delay machine? He is up there in Thurston, Washington, but we have not seen him in court, and I don't think he's been taken into custody yet. AZ Oversight Group, thank you. Have a good one. Haven't heard anything from Laura this evening, but we'd love to hear if anything from the court, especially if any of the attorneys would like to talk. They might not because now they might be waiting until a decision comes in from the state. The skeleton's the MVP of this trial. What if the judge rules the sky is green in this case? That was bizarre. Very crazy analogy. I'm surprised he went there. Everyone's like, oh, I know that's an easy one because we all know it's blue.
There was only like 1 or 2 people who were like, yeah, no, that's the line for me. Nope. Everybody else like, okay, yeah, I guess if the judge told me it was green. I thought, okay, you got to kick me off this jury because I am not going with a green sky.
Angela, how do they know it's Full Metal Jacket? They never found it. Only if it's Mr. Kelly's bullet would it be that, because they have the casings that he says he fired that matches the bullets that were still in because he had 30 rounds in the clip in the magazine. He had 30 rounds in there, and he only fired 9 of them. And so the casings match what's in the gun.
We'll take that out of the equation. Say it's a different type of bullet. Would that then line up more easily?
Yes,
with the
somebody
evidence?
else. No, it would indicate there was probably somebody else. But
well, there was somebody else. He said there were 2 people.
All speculation. You're right, DG. Yes, your wife was right. Fried green tomatoes, that's me. Accept it with grace. Okay. I think we're good. Oh, we have a call. Who is this?
Call from Laura.
Laura, our court watcher extraordinaire. How are you doing?
Oi. I'm okay. I just got out to the parking lot about 5 minutes ago. The attorneys were still waiting in the courtroom for the judge to finish talking to the jurors.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. And also, I doubt, Kathy, you'll be able to talk at this point with the outcome from today.
Right. That's what we were just
Yeah.
mentioning. But
Yes.
tell us a little bit.
Unfortunately, sorry I couldn't get it earlier.
What is your take now with the jury? Here's what we think. The state has asked for copies of all the jurors' questions. They filed for that. One of those questions is stapled together and has the count.
That one would have to be sealed. Wouldn't it?
But after the trial's over, what's the purpose of sealing it after the trial's over? All those things become public
true.
record.
It
The
is
jurors'
written on it.
names and everything else. It's in the file. At what point would it be released? I think it's released now, and I think the state will get to take a peek at that, which means I think that the defense will probably want to take a peek at that as well to get a count. That was the preliminary. That was the first indication that they were hung. Was that count?
Sure. Yeah. So regardless, if they don't want to speak to the attorneys, they'll know the split either way. But again, that was midday. I want to say yesterday. What day is it? I think it's Monday.
It's Monday today.
So midday Friday, right, would have been. So who knows how much progress they would have made by then. But
what was your take? Tell us about the jury. The judge commented on it. You commented a little bit that jury 11 looked like she had been upset.
Oh yeah, no, you could tell. You've seen a woman after she's been crying. So for sure, there's no way that she was the lone holdout. No way. And again, it's all assumption on my part, just from witnessing her reactions during the trial. I could be, completely off, and it could be the exact opposite. But yes, so there was visible frustration today. You could sense it as soon as they walked in, and you had never seen that before, and obviously the judge recognized it as well. But yeah, she was visibly crying. You could tell. Yeah, all of them were carrying it, felt the weight of it for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I wanted to say today that I was so anxious to start to share.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's safe at the moment.
Okay. All right. I understand.
I apologize. I still have to be careful.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit how are the Kellys handling this? What is their take on this, or is this a big letdown for them, or is this a relief?
It's the second best outcome. That it is what it is. It's the second best outcome. Obviously we were all hoping that that this cloud over them, they would be freed by and free from this stress and freed from this nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare to live under. I can't imagine. And just because the lack of evidence, I think we're all just kind of flabbergasted that why are we here?
Can you speculate just for yourself? Do you think what the count was?
I can't just because I mean, if the jurors were more expressive, it would be a lot easier. Sorry if there's wind in my phone.
Oh, you're okay.
I will say it's not a surprise to me just because of being in Nogales, being in Santa Cruz County. This isn't. I'm not surprised. I'll say
it's a pickles
I'm not surprised
issue.
at the lack of verdict.
It's a pickles issue.
Do what?
It's a pickles, not politics. It's a pickles issue.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not even about politics. It's. I guess if you're local, if you know Nogales at all, this isn't a surprise. Yeah.
So, one of the things that the state has to consider if they want to retry is the cost of the trial. These are not
exactly,
cheap, and there's a cost on both sides. But they're concerned about the part they bear, right? That the court fees, the experts that need to testify, the prosecutor's time, the office, the detectives. Financially, is Nogales just like flush with cash? That this is like, hey, let's go ahead and give another run at this one, or would this be like, look, we've got some higher priorities that might need to be addressed?
Yeah, Santa Cruz County is not flush with cash. I'll tell you that. I mean, you can drive down one road in this town, and I mean, even And that's another thing, is that these sheriff deputies are all riding around in brand new SUVs, just shiny as can be, and beautiful brand new SUVs, and their roads are torn up. Nogales, Santa Cruz County is not flush with cash, but it's obvious where all the money's going. So.
Well, it's not going to an ME. They don't have their own.
Exactly, right? And obviously it was a concern for the judge as well. You know, when he was talking to Kathy, you know, he was concerned with the financial implications of this.
Yeah, it's big for both parties, and that's probably going to be a big decision on the part of the state. Can't wait to hear what the judge's ruling is regarding the motion, regarding the JAVs, the recordings that the state wants, as well as the all the juror questions and answers.
Now, what recordings did they want? I apologize.
The official.
I see, sorry, the prosecutors are just walking out, so I'm not sure if that means the attorneys are done. Go ahead. The official what?
The official videos, audio video recording for the court, which is the 4-box view that we've been seeing.
Oh, wow.
After the fact.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Those mics pick up differently than the pool camera. So sometimes they
yes,
catch
they
things.
Sure do. Don't they?
Yes. Sometimes they're very
like
sensitive.
Cool.
And we hear the state say, "What the heck was he doing?" You know, at the end of the earlier we heard the prosecutor say that with a little WTH moment.
Right.
And sometimes we hear other things. But I don't know.
There is one I wrote down that I did want you to go back and pull up your audio, your amazing audio, and find out what the judge was talking about. Where's my notepad? There is one day, it was a couple weeks ago, and the judge was getting eye rolls from the prosecutors, and I'm so curious what happened in that sidebar. I wrote the date down. I don't know, if you have free time tomorrow. I don't know when you're picking up your next case, but if you have any off time, it might be worth finding out what the prosecutor was so upset about.
Yeah, if you can give me a date and maybe a time frame, I can.
Yeah, I think it was. It's in my notes. I'll let you know later.
You can text me. It's cool.
Absolutely. Okay. But yeah, I think you all know that this is Brenna's first murder trial, right? You knew that by now or no?
I know now. You're talking about
it's Brenna Larkin's first murder trial. Yes. Wow. Yeah, MMA fighter. Yeah, I thought she did pretty darn well for her first murder trial.
Yeah, I'm impressed with her tenacity. I mean, I knew that there's stuff that was new to her, because I know Laura next to her said, "Hey, you need to make a record." She's like, "I don't know what that is."
Yeah.
Kathy said,
well, I think Kathy said you need to make a bill. But then Brenna said but Brenna knew it as a proffer, I believe. Yeah. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, but
they might say bill in Texas.
They were a good team. How did they get matched up?
So let's see. There were some prior attorneys, I believe, through an expert. I'm not quite sure. I would I can't say for sure. I don't think I got the whole story from that. So I would, maybe wait to talk to them and
Kathy's
ask them.
from out of town, right? She's
from Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, so she's
from Dallas-Fort Worth.
a ways away from home. That's why the judge said you can zoom in.
She'll tell you about it. She's ready to go home.
She's not a fan of being
She
done by the
misses
border.
her dog.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she showed me a picture of her German Shepherd today. She's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd just be tough being away from dogs.
And they definitely are not pro bono, right? They were retained attorneys.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no. Let me remind everyone about Give, Send, Go. I'm going to do that as often as I can. You can find their legal defense fund on Give, Send, Go. And, this is all crowdfunded. And it's quite a large expense. I know 4-week trial, obviously.
Yeah. Pay for a lawyer for an hour, just for any question, any type of lawyer for an hour, and write out that check. And then imagine doing that for 40 hours a week of court time, plus all their time they spend, billable hours preparing for court, and everything that went before with all the depositions and the numbers, they could just get astronomically huge. And a lot of those, I mean, there are charges that the lawyers have to pay, there are fees they have to pay, and you know, there's experts that have to be paid and everything. It adds up very, very quickly. But man,
it absolutely does. It absolutely does.
let me ask you this, Laura. Since the judge walked out, since his walkout moment, and that sort of went viral, he's sort of been a different judge.
He was.
And rulings have really just come down in favor of the defense almost unanimously. Even the judge reversing his opinion once the defense voiced their opinion. What's your take on that?
I noticed that too. I you know, it might be a little of, you know, CYA for lack of a better term. I think he realized that might have been an overstep for sure. And I think he's trying to protect the record. You know, I think he did go over, you know, before the defense rested and made sure that they absolutely knew that they could recall Detective Barba.
Yeah.
I think he was definitely making sure that the defendant's rights were first and foremost. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Anything else you wanted to share with us today? I appreciate your time in court, and thanks for the updates, keeping us updated up to the minute.
Sure. Well, like I said, there was a lot of things I was hoping to go through, but you know, it might not be relevant at this point, and also might not be appropriate to go through just yet. Yeah. But eventually, I hope to, for sure.
And when the time is right, we'd love to talk to any of the defense counsel that would like to speak to us. We would always be wide open, available for that. But I realize that the number one priority is their client and what happens tomorrow. So
yes, for sure. I'm pretty sure Kathy's gonna head home in the morning. So I'll do my best. Who knows what they're doing tonight? But again, I walked out. They were still in the courtroom waiting to talk to the jury. So, but I haven't seen them walk out yet. So I'll for sure let you know and try my best to get that done. So there'll be a status hearing next Monday. I'm sure you probably recorded, and then we'll go from there.
Can't wait to hear. We've got a week to find out if the state wants to retry the case. They only have 10 days. That's what I heard, right? They have 10 days to decide.
Right. Yes, and then they only have 60 days to retry it if they decide to.
That's fast. Wow, that's a quick turnaround.
It is very fast. Yeah, they only have 60 days to retry it. So that might be a big deciding factor. Yeah. I would assume it would be. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to let you get some rest. You sound exhausted. You've been hard at work at this.
Yes, I have no idea what day it is.
It's Monday. You've got a whole week ahead of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really emotional, and I just I've been in there, praying with and for the Kellys every day, and they're constant prayer warriors, and I've seen some in chat, people sending prayers out, and they appreciate each and every one of them. And there are so many prayer warriors in that courtroom and in surrounding that courthouse. And it means so much to them, and only God wins this. God will win out.
Laura, thank you so much. Appreciate
absolutely
everything you've done for us. We appreciate that.
Sure.
Get some
Thank
rest
you,
tonight.
Scott.
We'll see you.
Yes, I will.
Right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Appreciate Laura. She's been a great trial watcher. And even while we were not live, because we were delayed, she was watching and she didn't want to spoil it. She's like, I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what's going on right now, but there's good stuff here. It's coming up. So it was really good. All right. Thank you very much. That wraps it up today. I know we've got, we've got like 10. Well, let me see what's left up in Washington really quickly.
A couple that you did ask, and I'll go straight to juror number one. Juror number one, you reflected your concern about
let me just see what time we have. Where's our timer? Can I not see the time? Oh, I'm covering it. We're at 25:06. 25:06, and it ends at
0.
Is it still live? No. Yeah, so we've got 25 minutes worth of jury selection left. We're going to do that tomorrow, and then we're also going to pick up the rest of the case. But 2506 is where we're going to pick up right here. That's where we'll be. I'll save it. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm going to record it right now, so in case they take it down. Let's back up, hit the record button. And it's rolling.
I appreciate.
Okay, so that's going to be rolling. I'm going to save that to my drive right here, and we'll have that first thing in the morning. That was in Thurston County, Washington, in Olympia area. Yes, Towanda. That's where it's at. John says, imagine if the judge made the jury come back tomorrow. The holdout would have been turned into Soylent Green by noon. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm surprised they did that. J Van says, retouching the bullet trajectory, 7th rib to the sternum could be from a 22 and maintain velocity for a through and through. Hole size, the entry wound, the size was bigger than 22.
Doesn't that depend on how close they were?
No. And I really, it went through 3 ribs, J Van. 3 ribs on the 7th rib. There were 3 ribs that were demolished when it went through. I think a 22 would have deformed and left some lead behind. There was no lead left behind. That's why I'm saying Full Metal Jacket. There was no lead left behind on any of the bone and the fragments that were impacted, where normally there would be some abrasion and possibly a little bit of residue, but there was none. Interesting thought, though. I know a 22 has the velocity at close range to do a through and through on a human body. Jurors won't spill their guts till tomorrow. All right. I think we're done. We're done for tonight. I'm calling it right now. My mom has a question for you. Please look. Let's see. Kenny, where's her question? Where would I find that? Is it under Kenny's mom? My mom wants to know what you thought about the prosecutor quoting the Occam raisin theory in the end of closing. I thought it was funny. I've heard it done before, so it's not completely new. The most logical conclusion is the one that's right there in front of your face. I think that it was sort of ironic that it was coming from the prosecutor, because for me, their closing had me making lots of logical jumps.
Yeah.
Whereas the defense told a story that was something I could follow one step at a time without feeling like I skipped something or I have to assume a fact that is not there. They really did spell out a story that was easier for me to follow. So for me, the Occam's razor theory favored the defense instead of the prosecution. Great question, Mom. Appreciate that, Mrs. Patterson.
That's really interesting because I didn't hear the closing arguments, and yet I was thinking Occam's razor, it doesn't make any sense that he's the one who shot him. Just using Occam's razor, it would be somebody next to him.
Well, this ends it for today. We're going to start again tomorrow. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone.
Sad people.
Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. Now you messed me up. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning around 8:30ish. I know Runkle of the Bailey is going to start in a couple minutes. I'll redirect to him right now. If you've never seen a Runkle, you're in for a treat. You guys have a good one. Be nice to each other. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.